Hello, everyone. Before we get into today's regular scheduled commitment episode, we have a very special segment for you today. We have someone who has appeared on this podcast 3 times this year. We just cannot get rid of him. It is Mr. Matt Wilkie is here.
Such a warm welcome back.
Yeah, I think when there's another person named Matt on the show, Matt turns into a different guy.
Is that what it is?
You know what it is? This is a true thing. I'm so sorry to derail already, but that's the difference between Mikes and Matts. Because when a mic is around other mics, they get excited and they love it. Matts hate when there's other Matts.
Wow.
It's a true thing. It's always like, oh, there's another Matt on the call. Ugh.
I think it's like a Highlander situation. I think there can only be one Matt.
Exactly.
I think especially growing up, as a kid born in 1987, there were all Matts. There was like 5 Matts. There's a Matt G, a Matt S, Matt W.
But
there's
then
all
you
the
all
Matts
killed
in your
each other,
classroom.
and there's only a few left.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now having to confront a Matt here on the podcast once again, it's a little upsetting. But we are also joined by a couple other people today, because if Matt Wilkie's here, you know what we're talking about, and that is a Muppet script reading.
He keeps putting these on just so he can keep being on the show, I think.
Yeah.
It's my only goal in life, and it's working. So
it's like, I got to get on commitment somehow.
Stop encouraging me.
But yeah, we are joined by 2 very special guests today. First, somebody you might know from... Both of these people have so many dozens of amazing credits that I do not want to list them all, because you know these people. But first up, you might know from his role as Richie on Minx, or from appearances on Dropout, or as a host of the podcast Euroevangelistas, and just dozens of other amazing projects. We are joined by Oscar Montoya.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And we are also joined by voice actor, host, somebody else you've seen on Dropout and a dozen other things, and currently, most recently, on my television playing Ghost of Yote. I see their face constantly lately. It is Erika Ishii.
Hi, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you
for being here.
Thank y'all for being here, yeah.
This is a fun group. We've been talking for, several minutes before starting recording, and I was like, I guess we should be recording this because this is fun and we're having a good time, but also...
Yeah, this is content. Save it.
Yeah.
It's all content.
You can't have a fun conversation without recording it, Matt.
I think that's what the rules right now. It feels like we have to record everything and just share it no matter what, if it's about Muppets or not.
Yeah, well, I got a mic set up in your house, Matt, that's always recording you, so...
That's good to know.
I have a lot of content, yeah.
It's just going to be a lot of crying, baby. I'm sorry about that.
Again, I was told when we entered this call that Matt does not care for his baby.
Yeah, he doesn't like his baby, and he's really mad at his baby right now.
Yeah.
This is the character that Sam has thrust upon me. Is that...
I mean, to be fair, babies you can't get mad at them, I guess, because they're babies and they don't know any better, but also babies can be terrible. So.
They don't have a lot to offer, really. If you think about it.
Yeah, she hasn't really started to contribute to society in any way. So
she hasn't produced any content at all.
No, actually, yeah, we she actively is held back from creating content. We don't even put her face anywhere. So
That's
man,
too bad.
Maybe someday
she's off the grid.
Just unplugged from it all.
Yeah. She's like, I need a break from all this.
Yeah, she's a little woo-woo. It's kind of rough sometimes. But Sam has made clear that on this podcast that I think, much as having 2 Matts in the room can be confrontational, when I took parental leave from this podcast for a couple months, I think that turned Sam against my child.
I'm jealous of your baby is really what it is. I'm trying to turn you against your own baby for ruining the podcast.
Trying to pull me back into your clutches. Be like, who needs a baby? You've got Sam.
I'm the baby. Yeah.
I did actually say that to Bren and Izzy when they had the baby, when they were like, we're pregnant, and I was like, but I'm baby.
That sucks.
Did you forget you already have a child?
Yes, Matt, we birthed the beautiful podcast together. Is it nothing to you?
This is our commitment to each other, and we are stuck here for life. Well, I feel like we're going to keep getting off the rails, which is delightful and fun, but I should let Matt Wilkie explain what's going on, what we're here to talk about. We have the Muppets Take Script Hatton coming up later this week. Can you tell people if and how they can watch it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So coming this Friday, October 24th, to the Bell House in Brooklyn, we're going to be putting on our third Muppet script production of the Muppets Take Script Hatton. I love a sweaty title where I can just squeeze script in there somewhere. So it's very fun. We are going to be live streaming the show on Veeps, VEEPS.com, which is a great site. They're a really good source for live comedy and live music. And so we're really happy to be partnering up with them to bring this live stream to everybody.
So you've done 2 of these already. We're on to the third one. I won't ask necessarily if you have future Muppet script readings planned, but you are completing the sort of the main trifecta of Muppet movies here.
Yes.
How does it feel to sort of be closing out that trilogy?
It feels really interesting. I mean, it's not lost on me that after this film, there's no Jim Henson involvement at all in anything we do, and that's kind of scary in a way. And it's also just interesting. Like I've been in doing these, I've gotten to really kind of like study the scripts and see where the humor comes from, how it evolves. I go through different drafts of it as well, so I'm trying to see like how it develops and becomes what it is in the final script. But yeah, to know that at no point in the process will Henson have touched anything after this is kind of weird. But I guess I shouldn't say nothing because, of course, I know you guys are such huge fans of Follow That Bird. And if we have to do that, we may be doing that one as well one day. Who knows?
You might want to book a smaller theater for that one.
People like Sesame Street, you know.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, we're actually approaching that sort of point at the podcast as well. We are currently in our chronological timeline in the spring of 1989. So we're about a year out from the death of Jim Henson and the things we're watching. And we're currently watching the Jim Henson Hour. And so it definitely feels like we're approaching that moment where we are going to start watching things post Jim Henson. And that's very odd for a podcast that's been going on for 4 years, watching everything he's ever done.
Yeah.
To reckon with this moment.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just recently, I think we got to a point where Jim had passed away, but the Muppets as a franchise has been around longer than he was alive now at this point, which is really weird to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a crazy legacy to watch these people carry on with Disney and everything like that. But it's just to watch this stuff that feels, post Jim a little different. I imagine the script readings will feel a little different too, but they're still delightful. The other ones have been amazing, and I think when you talk about reading the scripts, I think something I've loved is hearing things that I don't think the average, even diehard Muppet fan gets to hear, because when you're reading the narration of the scripts or different things like that, like that's not something you're going to see in the movie. So just hearing the way something is described in the original script lends like a lot of insight into what Jim and the writers were thinking at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this script is really interesting for Manhattan because I tracked down an older version. It was just Frank Oz on the draft. This draft that I found, it was just pure Frank and exactly everything he wanted. And then someone named nice guy named David Bish reached out to me, and it turned out David had written a production draft of like a dialogue polish for the whole script that never saw the light of day. He's uncredited in the final film, and a lot of jokes made it into the final film, but there's a lot of stuff that was still cut out. So the presentation that we're doing has jokes that have never been performed before.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the performances here, we have 2 about to be Muppets sitting here in front of us. Well, I guess we should say one about to be a Muppet, and one has been so many other Muppets already in these previous script readings. Because, Oscar, you have played Dog Leon, which is the way I prefer to say it, not Dog Lion. I know it's Dog Lion. I just really... if I'm going to launch a campaign, Dog Leon is better.
I think it was one of these script readings that proved that you were incorrect. Okay.
That's the thing. I held out hope for 4 years of this podcast that Dog Leon would somehow be proven, if not correct, at least never incorrect. And then during one of your script readings, it said, like, enter Dog Lion, a half dog, half lion creature. And I was like, well, obviously his name's Dog Lion.
It is.
But Oscar, you have played...
Dog Lion is what I am. Dog Leon is who I am.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to be right, but especially Matt, and that's the most important thing to him.
Yes, that is the tagline of this podcast.
Take that, baby.
Did Dog Lion have a line? What did he do?
Yeah, I don't remember.
He eats a chair or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah, he takes a chair. Is this seat taken? And takes the chair. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, you played Dogline. You played Miss Tracy, Orson Welles' secretary. You played
awesome.
the Swedish Chef's Hands. You played Beauregard. You played English Gentleman in the Park. And you played Flowered Sock Delivery Person. So the range in these Muppet script readings.
All the stars, yeah.
But this time you are playing two other unforgettable roles of Masterson Rat and Hap the Dog, who is one of the few Muppets who does not even have a Muppet Wiki page. Hap the Dog is
wear that with honor.
Hap the Dog is added onto the Dogs page on Muppet Wiki. And you'll also be playing talent agency receptionist, construction worker number 1, and purse snatcher. So how are you preparing for your many, many roles?
Well, I'm living a day as each one of these characters. So, you know, the research is deep. I've gotten in trouble with the law a couple of times. But you know, it's all for art, you know.
Well, you got to steal a bunch of purses to really get in the head of the purse snatcher. Yeah. He looks like he's really good at it. So yeah, you got a lot of practice.
I have to be. The thing is, it's like, it's not bad purse snatcher.
Yeah.
It's like purse snatcher. You're adept at it. You've done it before to be labeled such a thing.
Well, and obviously the purse snatcher doesn't think he's the villain. Like, he sees himself as a good guy.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you showed up for a shift at a diner wearing nothing but like a dickie and no pants or anything like that. That was a bad day. A little bow tie.
That's where I got in trouble,
except for a bow tie.
There's so many different crimes you could have committed.
Matt just wants me in jail, essentially.
Yeah, Matt's got an axe to grind with the world today.
Yeah, Matt's got a lot of weird plans.
Lock them all up. Lock them up. Let's go.
Well, Erika, you'll be playing a starring role as Rizzo the Rat, as well as elderly woman and movie character 2, Eve, who I don't know who that is.
I, at some point, looked it up, you know, to when I was reading the script, and it has left my brain since then because we've been planning this for a while. And yeah, it is an absolute honor to be Rizzo. I don't know if you guys do you do this on your podcast or in your life of asking people like what Muppet they think they are. I like to ask people what Muppet do they think they are and what Muppet do they aspire to be. And I always thought that I was a Gonzo, but I can also see Rizzo as well.
As the one you are or who you aspire to be?
Who I am. I always thought it was Gonzo because of, you know, being a weirdo, like canonically, and like the gender the playfulness with gender, the obsession with birds, and the being a daredevil and probably a little bit of a freak. But you know, I think Rizzo also is such a good compliment to that. And so I can see them, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe it's Rizzo. It feels right and nice, and I'm honored.
I'm trying to think of how Rizzo I would describe as like a cowardly dirtbag.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's like definitely a little Rizzo in all of us.
I think so too. I think if I had to have a Muppet as a sidekick, I would pick Rizzo for sure. I'd want to be friends with that guy so bad.
I do like this idea of the Muppet you aspire to be, because now I'm curious what that one would be for you. If you felt like a Gonzo in the past, but maybe you're actually a Rizzo, do you still have that Muppet you aspire to be?
I think it's always gonna be Kermit because he just believes in everybody so much, and he's so kind, and you know, he brings folks together, and you know, just his messages of love, and he has a patience that I myself do not have. So yeah, I think it's always going to be Kermit.
I do feel like I hope this is complimentary. I do feel like we have friends who work in the LA comedy scene, and every time I talk to more people and meet more people in the LA comedy scene, I feel like you're either a Gonzo or a Kermit. in the LA comedy scene.
Yeah.
Where you got a handful of Kermits who are trying to like wrangle all the gonzos.
I think also there's something to be said about Scooter being the wrangler.
Very true.
Yes,
Very true.
Scooter.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do need a Scooter around as well to help out with
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm.
A little
I feel like
reprehensible worm.
maybe Kermit is like the patient dreamer. And okay, is there a Muppet tarot deck?
There should
There
be.
should be.
Okay,
I mean-
now wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's
not-
gotta be.
We do have a merch store that could use some new stuff. I guess.
Yeah, we could use a cease and desist letter from Disney.
If we haven't got it yet, I don't think it's coming.
Oscar, who would you say that you are and who you'd want to be?
I think I truly aspire to be Honeydew. I think
Oh.
something
Interesting.
That's good.
like I really want to be someone who's very intelligent. I mean, listen, I'm not gunning for no alpha sort of roles. I know who I am. And I feel like I am currently a Beaker.
Oh, I think Beaker's one of the most famous Muppets of them all, I would say.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah.
Everybody's mom knows who Beaker is.
Yeah.
But
And
is
that's
Beaker
a testament of fame.
Yeah.
If your mom knows who it is, you're good.
I
Yeah,
think
but
so.
does she know his name? Maybe not, but she does know the Meep Meep Muppet.
The Meep
so
Meep.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Really kind, helpful, a bit stressed and overworked. Like I feel like that's where I am right
Yeah.
now.
He's so
a
loyal.
Beaker wanting to be a Bunsen.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Beaker probably wants to be a Bunsen too. I think that sounds canonical to me.
Yeah.
He always felt like he's like a grad student who's like, and Bunsen's like the professor who he's helping
Yes.
out and like his mentor.
Yeah.
Although I will point out that Oscar is actually my girlfriend's improv teacher and like mentor as well. Like
Ooh, that
he
sounds like a
mentored this
Bunsen to
group
me.
So
of-
you are a Bunsen.
You got some
yeah,
Bunsen,
I
Okay.
could
Wait
I
a
would
second.
submit. Yeah, because
Have
all these queer sweet kids like look up to you.
It's very
They
true.
formed teams around you. Like yeah, that's I feel like that's more Bunsen behavior.
Wait a second. Are you saying that I've achieved Bunsenacity?
Do you ever blow them up or like make them go through a big heavy piece of machinery? Or anything?
How much violence do you put
Yeah.
them through every week?
I don't mean to do it. It's just part of the process.
Oh, that
right.
sounds like Bunsen for sure.
That's how you make progress.
All in the name of science.
yeah.
I don't see a Muppet tarot card. I think this is a Muppet tarot deck. I think this is. I
Erika.
think we got to do
Money.
this. Yeah.
Some territory
Money.
that we
Yeah. Yeah.
Just money. I
Artists,
do.
if you feel like being commissioned for something that will almost certainly be shut down by the
Yeah,
Henson
we're
estate,
gonna get in big trouble.
But
contact
hey,
me.
if we can like sell a lot real fast before that cease and desist
Yeah.
comes through,
Worth it.
I mean, we've got the word Muppets in the name of our podcast. We've sold plenty of merch that relates to Muppets, and so far, Disney has not shut us down. So we'll see. We just keep
That's
pushing
good.
those limits further and further,
Until they arrest us or they hire us. That's our goal.
which is really that if we get arrested, we will become obviously the most popular Muppets podcast because
right.
we'll be the bad boys of Muppet podcasting.
Yeah,
true.
I'm not going down without a fight. They're gonna take me. They're gonna take me alive.
Well, I will say they can take me alive if they'd like to. I'm happy to, carry on your name in the future, Sam, and say like, oh yes, remember my old podcasting partner, Sam Schultz.
Uh-huh.
Now buy his memorial
gunfire.
T-shirt.
Erika and Oscar, are you guys Muppet fans? Or were you Muppet fans before this? Do you have a history with the Muppets?
Yes, I love the Muppets so much. And my entry point into the Muppets was actually Muppets Tonight.
Oh yeah,
Was like
sure.
the first
Oh.
piece of Muppet media that I consumed. And I was like, that to me, I was like, oh, that's the birth of Muppets. Like I was familiar with
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sesame Street and all that
Right.
stuff, but like I didn't really connect. I mean, I don't know if it lives in the same universe, but to me, I was like, oh yeah, Muppets Tonight. Oh my gosh, like it's this show about these Muppets putting on a show, blah, blah, blah. And then I found out like they were doing reruns of the original Muppet Show on Nickelodeon
Mm.
Yeah.
a while back. And
Mhm.
then I saw that and I was like so I was like, what am I doing watching Muppets tonight? This is incredible. And that was like the beginning of everything. And I've like consumed so much Muppet content. Especially they had a show, one of my favorite Muppet content is a show I don't remember. But it's them telling fairy tales.
Okay.
Does this
track? There's fairy tale theater, classic fairy tale.
Are you thinking of the Storyteller?
No, not the Storyteller.
Okay.
Yes, I remember it was like a made for VHS.
Yes.
And it was like Gonzo was Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. It's so great. So that's like my favorite piece. But like I bring it up and a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? I was like, is this an hallucination?
Classic Theater from 1994.
Yeah.
I remember that. Oh my God. I just assumed that it was on one of the sort of Muppet shows or something.
No, it is
this before.
Yeah, I've seen pictures from it before. We have not gotten there. We're only in 1989 with our podcast, so probably 8 years from now we'll catch up to that. But I am looking forward to it because Gonzo's outfit is amazing in this.
Oh, the Rumpelstiltskin, yes. And then they have the shoemaker and the Elvises instead of the elves.
I think there were 3 episodes on a VHS.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I remember that, and I think it was. Yeah, was it the rats that were the Elvises and they sang Blue Suede Shoes? Somebody sang Blue Suede Shoes.
Whoa, Erika!
Oh my God, Oscar, you've awakened.
You've unlocked it.
Memory unlocked.
Oh my God. We used to watch that VHS all the time.
Our listeners won't have the pleasure of what we just got was watching Erika's face open up as they realized that they had this buried memory of this VHS tape.
Thank you, Oscar. I thought that was lost.
I think it's all on YouTube, so you can go check it out.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Yeah. Because it's never had like an official release outside of that VHS. So I think it's now on YouTube to watch.
No way.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I think this sort of answered the question for Erika of are you previously a Muppet fan? Have you always been a Muppet fan?
Yeah, for as long as I can remember, because I was a Sesame Street kid, and also Little Golden Books had some Muppets as well as Sesame Street. Like the monster at the end of this book.
Classic.
Yeah, and I remember catching. It must have been reruns, because back when we were younger, it was only live TV of like episodes of the Muppet Show, and I knew that there were things that were kind of going over my head, and so I have like vague memories of things. Of like, there's one, I think John Goodman is on there, and he's like
that's
trying
Muppets Tonight
to
for sure, yeah.
Try. Oh, that was Muppets Tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, and so like he was trying to make them think that that they were rescuing him, and then they actually like put him in a full body cast for the last number. Yeah, okay, so it must have been Muppets Tonight, and then that Muppet Fairy Tale Theater, and then I remember it must have been high school watching the Muppet Show. And because there were a friend had DVDs, and being like, "This is crazy." There was a musical number where I think Kermit was being forced into a shotgun wedding where Miss Piggy was pregnant. Is that something that was real?
I don't think the pregnancy is in
part
there.
is not real,
but I'm pretty sure there is a shotgun wedding in one of the episodes.
Yeah, I think
there is a shotgun wedding, and
that's just fanfic you read, Erika.
Oh my God! See, it gets all mixed up in there.
Actually,
We're wrong.
Hold on, we are wrong. Erika is correct.
Yeah,
Yes, there is a UK spot in one of the second season Muppet Show episodes where they're performing "Waiting at the Church," and in that, Miss Piggy has a pillow stuffed into her wedding dress, where she looks pregnant and is trying to get Kermit to marry her.
Wow!
So, yeah,
John
Erika
Cleese episode,
out Muppeted the Muppet podcast here.
You
Whoa.
win. You now
You
host
win.
the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is your podcast.
Oh no,
now.
it's like a Santa Claus.
yeah. You're Scott
Oh.
Calvin.
Oh boy. Yeah, I love the Muppets. I love how just like funny and earnest, and like honestly watching, and especially, you know, as I got older watching more Muppet Show, how just like progressive it was. You know, there was so much stuff in it where like I think, you know, they had such a diverse cast list, or like a guest list. It was incredibly diverse, and it was it was smart, and everybody was just so earnest and like wanted to do this show so much. And there's just something about that. My best friend and manager and I used to talk about, you know, we used to do Geek and Sundry, which was this sort of variety streaming channel that was like held together by duct tape and you know, benign negligence, I think, from administration for a while. And it was like just these like weirdo misfits like banding together to make a show, and it was something that we like really identified with. And Statler and Waldorf were the chat.
Yeah, you do have to deal with some Statler and Waldorf sometimes.
Yeah, so I love the Muppets, and so it's an honor to get to do this.
Yeah, well, speaking of what this is, it is the Muppets Take Script Hatton. It is Friday, October 24th, available at veeps.com, where you can get a ticket to watch just this stream, or as Matt was talking about earlier, they have a lot of other fun stuff, and you can, for just like $5 more, get like a lifetime pass, or at least like an annual pass or something like that, to veeps.com to watch everything else they're hosting. Also, Matt, could you talk about who this performance is raising funds for?
Yes, absolutely. So we are raising funds for Equity Fights AIDS / Broadway Cares. It's a wonderful organization that helps people in the philanthropic arm of Broadway. They really help out with everyone on stage, behind the scenes, anybody who's in that community and beyond that community, really, with very helpful resources for health and for living. And it's a time where they could, you know, like a lot of places can use our help right now. So I'm really, really excited that they are doing that. And I'm also super excited that I got people like Erika and Oscar that are going to be there and rocking the house down. It's going to be such a fun time.
Well, we are very excited to watch it. And everyone, you can watch it live, or you can also watch it afterwards through veeps.com. Thank you all so much for being here today. This has been so fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are here to discuss the second episode of the Jim Henson Hour, called Oceans, that aired on April 21st, 1989. And we also watched a 40-second clip of a fake outtake from the Jim Henson Hour that we'll talk about, I imagine, quite briefly.
Matt, I can't believe we've only watched 2 episodes of the Jim Henson Hour.
That's right, Sam. We've only watched 2 episodes. We only have one other Jim Henson Hour episode to compare this one to.
We're not going to mistakenly refer to the one that we haven't watched yet, which is the third one.
How
that we
could
definitely
we, Sam?
haven't
That's
watched.
That's in the future. That's next episode. How could we possibly know what next episode contains?
We have the powers of the Oracle. I've inhaled the vapors from that place.
I always forget you inhaled the vapors.
I did. Remember when I went to Greece and I inhaled the vapors?
Mm-hmm.
It was a curse and a blessing, Matt. The only thing I can see is the future of Jim Henson Hour. And my whole life I've been like, because I inhaled them when I was like 11. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Who's this guy in this hat? I'm always talking to. Why
is Willard Scott hiding fruitcake in a cabinet? What's happening here?
Yeah. And I was walking down the street saying, podcast. And then Mark Maron walked past me and heard, and he said, I have a great idea.
That's where he got the idea.
For something called a podcast.
He likes to claim he's, invented podcasts.
But it was really
sorry.
me.
It was Baby Sam who inhaled the vapors. Well, we sort of alluded to it and then got a little bit off the rails. But I will fully admit now, Sam did not huff the vapors. We'll admit this in the next episode as well. But we're recording a little bit out of order here because for guest scheduling purposes, we recorded episode 3 of the Jim Henson Hour before we watched and are now recording episode 2. So we have already watched episode 3. There's a chance we mentioned something from that episode when we're comparing things of what we liked and didn't like.
Assuming I remember anything that happened in it.
As I was saying that, I was like, you know what? That kind of maybe seems unlikely because...
What was the title of it? What was anything?
Power.
It was a fun conversation, man. I'll tell you that.
And so you'll hear that next time with our special guest, Danny Horn. But you'll also hear in that episode something that I feel like we also should address in this episode because this one's coming out second. In our first episode about the Jim Henson Hour, you'll hear us say multiple times, we're alluding to the fact that the storyteller is a shorter thing.
I actually cut all that out of.
You didn't cut all of it out.
Damn it. I thought
There's definitely
did.
Still a few times in there where we're like, well, if it was longer or like the originals.
I couldn't cut some of those out.
Yeah, there's some parts where you couldn't cut it out because the conversation would have sounded
didn't notice.
Very odd. But I'll just, shine a light on it and say, yes, for some reason we were confused and I thought the old storyteller episodes.
As usual. I just believed you at face value.
For some reason, I had it in my head. Those standalone episodes of the storyteller were like 48-minute episodes, like a special thing. No, they're the exact same length. So really, I guess I just didn't like the Heartless Giant so much that I was looking for an excuse. And my memory inserted the detail that like, well, it must be half the length, so it's half as good.
And you were totally right that they spend much less time with the main character in Heartless Giant. And
which maybe is the actor or maybe just the writing or something. But like the Heartless Giant just felt weaker than almost any other storyteller we watched.
Are you going to dress up for Halloween this year?
I don't know, Sam.
You had a baby. You can't dress up for... You could dress up the baby.
Yeah, we've got ideas for like costumes for us and the baby, but it's more of like if we're not going out or going to a party or doing anything, why would we dress up and just take a picture at home and then be like, well, I guess we take the costume off now? Do you have something? Are you dressing up?
We're too old. Nobody we know has Halloween parties anymore. So instead, we're going to a movie at the Roxy, which is our local independent movie theater, and they're playing a surprise Halloween movie on Halloween night. Don't know what it is, but there's also a costume contest, but you don't have to wear a costume, and it's October 12th as we're recording this, and I very highly doubt we'll have the moxie to put together any kind of costume. Actually, Rachel had an idea for one yesterday, and then she thought, oh yeah, but there's not a Joanne here anymore, so like how the hell do I do that?
Our only fabric store closed.
Well, there's Walmart and there's Hobby Lobby, but we're not going to Hobby Lobby. And Walmart just probably, like, I don't think they have the stuff we need.
They don't have half a store's worth like Joanne's had.
Yeah, this is the first Halloween since we don't have Joanne as a nation. And that was like a brutal realization. I'm like, what the hell are we going to do? What we're going to make our own textiles? What's going to happen?
Yeah. You got to buy a loom before your next Halloween.
Yeah. So if you want to move to Missoula and open a giant fabric warehouse, probably a great investment. I mean, we really went all out decorating our house for absolutely no one, for the no children who come and trick or treat.
I think that's the other wrinkle is now there's a lot more people with kids. And so Halloween plans in general become more challenging because you guys were like, hey, go see this movie afterwards. Let's hang out. And I'm like, well, that's 9:00. Ooh, that's so late. Our kid's going to be asleep already, or we're going to have to wake her up to go to a Halloween party, and she's going to be miserable.
Just leave her. She's just going to be asleep.
I don't think that's how it works. And someone would call the cops.
Ask Google Gemini to keep an eye on your baby. You know?
Yeah, what good are you, AI? You can't watch my baby.
Yeah.
I've seen Smart House. Let's fix this already.
Is the end of that I've never seen that. Does it turn into a hot lady at the end?
I guess that depends on your definition of Katie Sagal being hot or not. Because Katie Sagal is the voice of the Smart House and then comes out and is like, hey, I'm a real lady now. I'm going to be your mom.
Is that Leela from Futurama?
Yes.
Hot for sure. And the mom from Married with Children? Is
Correct.
That right? Yeah. That guy never wanted to have sex with her. What was that all about? That was
he
weird.
was married, Sam. He was part of a fraternity of men called No Ma'am. He couldn't want to have sex with his wife. That would be not manly, I guess.
I think that like her in particular must not have aged well, because I feel like when we look back at like what they were trying to do with her, because when you look at her, you're like, she looked fucking cool. But back then, did she like look like a loser or something?
I think it was that she sort of dressed really over the top for the time because she had giant hair, leopard print. But I do feel like her character was mostly, I'm super horny and want to sleep with my husband.
Yeah,
which now you see that on a show, you'd be like, okay, amazing character.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, ugh, quit bothering me, lady.
I think like at any point in history, if that woman walked down the street, everybody would be like, she's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody except Mr. Bundy.
The majority of that show does not hold up. I think it's mostly misogynistic jokes from top to bottom.
Right.
Because I remember, I think the major plot point of most of the episodes is he works in a shoe store and he makes fun of the overweight women who come to shop there.
Great.
I think that's the show. That's the plot.
That was one of those ones I wasn't allowed to watch.
Well, yeah, it was on Fox.
Yeah.
Fox was too edgy.
Fox was really scary back then.
Well, Sam, it's not Married with Children, but we did watch something this week. What was it?
Well, Matt, let me tell you, we watched another episode, our second, of the Jim Henson Hour, titled Oceans, which aired April 24th, 1989. The first half is another Muppet television segment. In this one, the Muppets' guest is Ted Danson, and the theme is the ocean. As such, they have several water-based skits that require water-based sets, and those sets keep leaking and leaking. That's a hard word for me to say that I just discovered. Those sets keep leaking and messing up the studio in various ways. As Kermit's show literally falls apart around him, Ted Danson keeps popping up to tell Kermit how impressed he is with Kermit's inflappability and coolness under pressure. But none of that really goes anywhere, as much of the back half of this Muppet television segment is a morality tale where Ted Danson represents all of humanity and their propensity for dumping their trash into the ocean. And then it just pretty abruptly ends and leads into the second segment, which is a short film called Lighthouse Island. A young man travels to a strange island in search of a woman named Clara so he can buy a gift for his future bride from her curiosity shop. The other residents of the island tell him to stay away from Clara, but he goes off and finds her anyway. He tells Clara about his bride, Rosalie, and reveals that he's only written to Rosalie and has never met her in person. Clara is allegedly from the town where Rosalie is from, and says that she knows Rosalie and suggests that a pair of dancing shoes would be the perfect gift for a girl like her. So they're kind of looking around the shop for shoes, and Zeb finds a pair of silver slippers that he wants, but Clara won't sell them to him until he begs her and says that he'd do anything for these shoes. So she tells him that he has to take her out to Hog Island for an errand that she's been meaning to run. It is
Hog Island, right?
I looked it up on Muppet Wiki, and that's what they said.
They say it so many times, and my brain kept not allowing it to be Hog Island.
Yeah.
And so I was like, is it Hawk Island? And their accents are just...
Not sure.
But no, I think it is Hog Island.
Yeah, I would assume somebody at Muppet Wiki maybe like checked the script somehow or something like that to make sure it was Hog Island. But it is hard to tell. I had to look it up. So she can't get to Hog Island because she doesn't know how to run a motorboat. So Zeb agrees, gets a motorboat, takes her out to the island. Along the way, they're attacked by a sea beast, but they still make it to the island. Clara tells Zeb that the sea beast is a man named Fred, who lives on Hog Island and is in possession of a pearl that can change a person into anything that they can imagine. And Clara wants to steal it. Reading this, it feels like when I used to describe Fraggle Rock episodes, which makes sense because it's written by the same person, but it is definitely like, and then this crazy thing happens, and then this crazy thing happens, except it's real people instead of Fraggles, which makes it a little bit weirder. So they find Fred's cabin and they look for the pearl, and Fred shows up and he attacks the cabin as an octopus and tries to get Zeb and Clara, but Zeb fights him back, and Clara finds the pearl, and then they go outside and find Fred, who's revealed to be a sweet old man that Zeb had met earlier in a pub that he had visited. Zeb feels bad for Fred because the pearl
I don't think he met him earlier.
He sees him in the shadows.
I think it's a different guy.
That's a different guy? Just
Jerry
by the
Nelson
same voice?
dubbed, yes. Jerry Nelson plays Fred, but Jerry Nelson dubbed the voice because he even says, Fred says something about like Carl Sims, and Carl is the guy that you're thinking of in the pub. So they're just different guys.
They're both just the same guy, same voice. Two guys with the same voice.
Yep.
Okay, well, anyway, he's a sweet old man then. And he's really sad because the pearl allegedly belonged to his father. And in the past, Clara had swindled them out of it. So it's a sad situation. Zeb feels bad, but he gives the pearl to Clara anyway. Back on the island the next day, Zeb meets Rosalie, and Clara tags along so she can enjoy the moment when Zeb discovers that his future wife is a mermaid. And the slippers that he worked so hard to get for her are just a sick joke because she's got a tail and can't wear shoes. But it is quickly revealed that Zeb knew the whole time that she was a mermaid and that the slippers have magic powers. So Clara gets kind of covetous of these slippers and threatens to turn into a beast from their worst nightmares and kill them and get the slippers back. But Rosalie kind of just casually bumps her hand and knocks the pearl into a very conveniently placed flask of acid.
Clara also slips on a fish. Don't forget
I forgot
that.
she slipped on a fish. Okay, I have a lot to say about this ending.
Yeah, no, I think most of this conversation will be about Lighthouse Island and not Muppet Television.
So it falls into a flask of acid, which is established earlier as being a flask of acid used to engrave names into shells.
Obviously.
So anyway, so then Zeb puts on the shoes and he turns into a merman, and he and Rosalie swim out to sea together. And that's the end of Lighthouse Island and the end of this episode of the Jim Henson Hour. But then we also watched a quick little kind of fake outtake from the Jim Henson Hour, in which Jim it's set up like he's doing one of the intro segments to an episode of the show. And he walks over to the lion that's always there, and he says, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And the lion flips out and starts to like lunge at him and attack him and knocks him down. And then the whole crew was like, "Oh no, stop him. And that's the end of the clip. It's kind of unsettling, I guess. It's not as unsettling when you watch it. It just sounds scary when I said it.
Yeah, it's not a very convincing, lion attack in any way. Like, they don't make it seem like, oh my God, what if Jim just died?
Yeah, because the lion can't do anything but move his head. So
yeah,
and his tail, I suppose.
It just further establishes that this lion does not like Jim, which
That's
we have
exactly
speculated.
What I wrote down. It's so funny that the only characterization we've seen of him so far, which I think he shows up in a later Storyteller, is that right? That's why he's called the Thought Lion, is because
he has a role in the Storyteller later on.
But it's so funny that all we know of him so far is he is either dismissive or actively hostile towards Jim. Great co-host they picked for him.
But yeah, we see the crew members run in. One runs in, like, holds back the Thought Lion's head. And I think Jerry Jewell runs in with a chair.
Oh, that's Jerry Jewell. Okay.
I think it's Jerry Jewell. It's kind of hard to tell from the side, but it looks enough like him that I'd like to think it's him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that too. They're just having some fun.
That's fine. It just was like one of those things I was like, you got to watch this at some point.
That's fine.
It is completely inconsequential, but in looking through the Jim Henson Company YouTube channel, finding that was like, okay, well, we'll watch that 40 seconds at some point.
I swear, I wonder what it was for. Like,
I think they're just having some fun.
Just like a little nugget for people to find in the future or something like that.
I'm sure it exists somewhere on, a VHS tape or hell, even just maybe an internal rap party video or something.
Yeah, right.
Well, getting into this week's episode of the Jim Henson Hour called Oceans, we do open up with a cold open as usual, where Bean is asking to borrow the studio's satellite dish for his Round Things party.
Okay, before you say it so dismissively,
mm-hmm.
my friends and I have often talked about having a ball party where everything is
like a ball. You're holding a ball.
We eat meatballs. Okay. And all the food has to be ball shaped and all the candy has to be ball shaped. And you're playing games only with balls and you're sitting on beanbag chairs.
I think you got to go yoga ball, not beanbag, by the way.
Yoga ball. Okay, that's good. And you have those bouncy, like with the handle, maybe you got those kind of balls too. See, you can come to the ball party too, Matt. Everybody's going to bring a ball.
I'm happy to help plan it. I don't want to go.
You don't want to go?
No.
When this happened, I was like, perhaps I like Bean so much for I am Bean. It's like, great idea for a party, Bean.
But this idea is just to bring a round thing to a party.
Yeah, that's fine too. What's wrong with that?
What do you do once you're there?
You get fucked up.
You can. I think my thing is you don't have to have people bring round things. You could just say, hey, we're having a party.
You don't have to not, though. Maybe Bean is 38 years old and he's had all the other kind of fun he can think of. And now he has to think of other ways to have fun. And sometimes little kids are also at the party, Matt. So you got to do something for them for a second.
Here's a satellite dish, child.
Which is, oh, great job, Arthur. You brought a cup. That's around. You did great at the party.
Shots fired at an actual child we know.
I'll bleep it out.
But Kermit treats Bean like a cute little kid. Because Bean says, like, don't worry, I took the satellite dish, but I did disconnect all the wires first. And Kermit does not freak out. Well, to be fair, Kermit freaks out a little bit, but then very quickly adjusts and says, don't worry, I'll just take Mr. Satellite Dish back to the roof while you and Digit start the show.
Sure, Mr. Satellite Dish does betray a certain you're a baby-ness to Bean. And in his own show, we saw that he was indeed a child, like the special he appeared in.
Yeah.
I think this sets up my biggest problem with this segment is that Kermit is certainly not known for being level-headed and cool under pressure. That's the entire point of every single episode of The Muppet Show, is that by the end of it, he's just like a screaming, sputtering mess, but everything is worked out in spite of that. So it's fine for him to start here and be like, okay, this is fine. And then things keep going wrong, and he's still always like, okay, we can get through this. And I kept expecting at the end for him to totally flip his shit and for Ted Danson to be like, you're not as cool as I thought you were, Kermit. Why doesn't that happen?
Great question. I also think there's something to Ted Danson that knows that Kermit is not all right. Because
and he's trying to keep him calm, maybe.
I feel like the way he's asking is like, you're so chill, huh?
Yeah. Ted Danson's vibe in this is very weird.
Very weird. And I don't know if he's playing the role as if he knows shit is actually going wrong. Yeah. And Kermit's covering for it.
I didn't even think about that.
Like that, what it read to me was that Ted Danson was kind of actually taking a shot at the show and at Kermit by being like, wow, you're so calm when everything's going so wrong.
Yeah, I guess that could be. I think you're probably right. That probably was what they were going for. That went right over my head. He's acting
weird enough, though, that it's hard to know because Kermit's not necessarily playing up that like, oh, no, nothing to see here. Everything's fine, Ted. Don't worry about it. We're good. Yeah. And Ted's not playing up the like trying to find the holes in the thing. And I don't know if it's the guest stars not being on set with the Muppets as much, or if it's just because they get to do so little as opposed to like hanging out for a week and performing a bunch of things with Muppets. But both Louis Anderson and Ted Danson have seemed low energy.
Right.
In ways
Ted Danson's like he took some Benadryl or something before. He's just so, he's like talking slow or something.
It's very weird. But that cold opening actually gave me a little bit of hope because it maybe in the first time in the history of Jim Henson Hour made me laugh.
When he falls through the ceiling or what?
Correct.
Okay.
Because Digit gets on the radio and he's like, Kermit, come in. Kermit, come in. and Kermit falls through the roof, and Bean's like, yeah, he came in.
You know, there was a couple moments in this Muppet Television that I thought were pretty good, and brought me back to like Muppet Show time, and also to just being like, why didn't I just make the Muppet Show again?
Is Bean Bunny the best part of this show?
Yes, Bean Bunny is great in this show.
I say so far we really liked him as like evil space villain or whatever, and in this I'm like, he has the best energy of anyone on screen.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Steve's got great energy in general.
Yeah,
he's so boppy. Did they even do the like we're flipping through the channels thing in this? Like they don't even set that up or anything, right?
I mean, it's still confusing.
I guess it's implicit in the way that the skits come on, but in this one it is set up much more like Ted is performing in skits for the show that they're making.
Well, and it feels like everything that they throw to in this is something that they have created, or the underwater set is a thing that they have control over. Oh
yeah, that's true. Right.
And yeah, I was gonna give them some benefit of the doubt and say maybe underwater set is like the TV set. Like
I don't think that's what they mean though.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But looking through the list of stuff that happens in this episode, everything feels like something that they made happen.
Right.
And so the entire idea again behind the show being Kermit has access to every signal from everywhere around the universe and he gets to choose what we see. I have not felt that once.
Yeah. Another thing that struck me kind of weird is that that's exactly what Jim is doing too. He is like in an alternate dimension and he has control over everything that we see. Right? Like in the Jim Henson,
as the maker of the show?
No, as the host of the show.
I feel like Jim is in the cube and he has no control, and Kermit's actually running the
things
show.
Things are just happening, and he's like,
because Jim does nothing.
Or is he like God, and you don't even like magic? He's got this magic that's so subtle that you don't even know. Like. And maybe. Literally, he is the one showing us everything. Like, he's putting together the show of stuff he thinks is interesting.
I get that, but I think Jim is so surprisingly flat in this. Like, it's so interesting that they've talked about how they put him through some host training and they like had him watch a bunch of stuff to get better. But I think this is maybe the worst he's ever been on camera.
I agree. Yeah.
Like you can go back to like the 60s, watch like the Muppets on Puppets thing, and he's more interesting to watch in that than he is in this.
Yeah. He needs to be teaching us about something, or he needs Frank on to like say, nah, you're going down the wrong path here.
I mean, maybe it's a similar thing that we talked about with Kermit feeling like he's not amongst friends and he's more amongst people he's hired to work for him.
Right.
Maybe Jim is a little bit the same energy right now, where he doesn't have his playmates next to him. And instead
he's got Jerry, though. He's got Jerry Jewel and Jerry Nelson. He's got the Jerrys.
Yeah, but not when he's Jim in the room with the lion.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he's not bouncing his energy off of anyone. Like, you think about the Muppets on Puppets or any of those specials, when he's got Don Saline or Frank next to him.
Yeah.
Usually when he's being funny, it's because they've done something to throw him off his game a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And he can sort of react.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, he's reading what I think is maybe one of the worst scripts we've ever heard from anything Muppet related. And then having no chemistry with anyone because there's a lion who hates him and that's it. Even when when Jim throws to Kermit via the screen, Jim and Kermit don't have chemistry. And I'm like, how has that been so broken by this TV show?
Yeah. And you're right, too. You're right. We saw that even behind the scenes on the interviews where Kermit seems like he's mad at Jim. And,
yeah. Like they're breaking up with each other and they're just pretending to be friends.
Yeah.
For the publicity.
Their creative partnership has gone sour. The next album will be a solo album from each of them. That brings me a little bit to the blooper, which also is pretty bad. Like he's very stiff in that too. Just I think that shined a light on him even pretending to fall on his butt. It was kind of just I knew instantly that it was not going to be a real blooper. And you put blooper in quotation marks, so I was already on my guard. But it was oh, maybe the lion his head will fall off or something. But really, Jim was just whoa.
Well, Ted does pop in and say, hey, is there anything I can do to help with this show that seems to be a little broken? And Kermit says, nah, the show usually just takes care of itself.
Don't say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are said in all these episodes that you're like, okay, cool. So you just removed any dramatic tension whatsoever.
Right. The whole point of the Muppet Show was that they have to try so hard at every single millisecond to make it work even remotely at all.
Yeah, and I'll bring it up later. There's a line that Kermit says where I'm just like, this is a checked out Kermit.
Yeah, it really is.
But in this, it is the problem that has been created is there's a hole in the floor that, again, we kind of saw a whole episode of the Muppet Show like this that was very funny and very good that people kept falling into it.
It was in the stage, right?
I think it was the trap door was busted.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I think Beauregard was on the case, much like Lindbergh is on the case.
Oh, Lindbergh was fully Beauregard in this one.
Yeah, because he got stupid. Before we were like, oh, he's smart Beauregard. But nope, now he's stupid.
Yeah. I'm sure I said this already, but he does look like the pre-Poke-Evolved version of Beauregard. He's like he's like the baby Beauregard.
Yeah. What's his final form?
Is Sweetums? Maybe Sweetums.
I was going to say maybe Sweetums or like a Thog. Because I think we've said that Thog and Beauregard have like the same face if you look at it.
That's right. So, they do. Thog. Yeah.
But that folk dance group shows up and falls into the hole in the floor.
I like that. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it's all right. It again feels more Muppet Show than Jim Henson Hour that a folk dance group would randomly be dancing through because we've never seen them trying to make a show really on this show. They're usually just cutting to a TV station where I guess they have made a show or they are currently making it somewhere else that they are watching the feed from.
They're not.
But we don't often see the people interact with the set that they're on.
Yeah. I think I don't know if this is probably true. The actors who are on TV shows very rarely end up in the room where all the guys and the monitors and stuff are.
Right. Yeah. Well, we see our first number, which is Splish Splash, I Was Taking a Bath, which I think for me, this episode bothered me because it's the Oceans episode. They use the exact same underwater set for like 5 different numbers. Yeah. Which I get trying to save money, but it felt cheap in a way when you're like, okay, we're going to use not only... It's a freaking blue screen, guys. Like you're blue screening with the same blue screen background 5 times in a row.
Yeah. Take the mouse and drag some stuff around to different places or something.
Yeah. And this felt, I will give it credit. It felt more like a Muppet Show musical number, but something I realized when watching this is that I think most of the time on the Muppet Show during a musical performance, there would be like a story within the thing. Like there's a
something
little 3-act
has to go slightly
play.
Wrong or something. Yeah.
Right, like one of the characters, can't stay up on their perch or somebody's chasing somebody else during it. So like everything else, if you're just listening, is like a normal musical performance, but like something is going wrong or something is happening. And these are just straightforward puppets singing to us. And in this one, like I said, to me, it's obnoxious that they just start throwing like more and more puppets on the screen who aren't doing anything interesting.
I didn't think about that, but I did in retrospect was sitting there thinking, when does the thing happen in this skit? That's like the thing. Like when does the bad thing happen? Or like when does I don't know what it would even be.
The only times we ever saw like a straightforward musical performance was usually if it was a sweet song or you were supposed to feel like emotionally like, halfway down the stairs or something where you're like, whoa, okay, I'm supposed to slow down, pay attention to this puppet. It's going to connect with me emotionally. But then if we're singing like a sillier song or a fun song, typically they were going to do something that made a joke of it or made it literal, where it would be, oh, okay, maybe they're singing the song underwater and then some guy with soap and a hairnet shows up to take a bath under the ocean or something. So it's just, I don't know, very weird that just nothing happens other than they perform the song.
And I wonder if maybe listening to you say that is like, maybe if we had been alive at the time, we would have been like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that before. Or like there would have been maybe something about the green screen or like how many puppets there were. Maybe there was some like technical wrinkle that we were supposed to pick up on that we didn't. or something like that.
Yeah, but even though like they did this on the Muppet Show, I'm thinking like Robin and Kermit sang Octopus's Garden on the Muppet Show underwater. They were swimming around. But in that, there's at least like a large stingray, I think, who's like the villain, like chasing them around or something. And like there's a plot point at least where something might happen.
Right. I'm reading about the song Splish Splash, and I've gotten to a line that says on Wikipedia, the song was covered by Barbra Streisand for her album Wet, which was a concept album where all the songs referred to water. Pretty cool.
Barbra Streisand Wet album. Guess what? The cover is it's her in water,
and she's taking a little swim. There's a song called Niagara on it.
Come rain or come shine.
Yeah.
And after the rain, no more tears.
Count as wet as well to her.
Okay. I ain't gonna cry tonight. Kiss me in the rain. Splish Splash is a very weird one to have.
A weird standout.
I thought there might be other silly songs on there.
No.
There is not.
We'll have to check this one out later.
Well, it's time now for the medieval medic with the mystical mind, Merlin, the magician, MD.
I wasn't prepped for who this was going to be, honestly.
We get Rolf with a beard.
Yeah.
He's medieval Dr. Bob.
Medieval Dr. Bob. Medieval Dr. Bob, that's an idea that I think has legs for one skit of Veterinarian's Hospital, baby.
I think there is a theme growing that I'm realizing now. It is what makes this show suffer in ways where it should work like the Muppet Show. Because, like you said, a good idea for a veterinarian's hospital. I think Rolf is great in this.
Yeah, me too.
I think the problem is the theme I was alluding to. They just keep throwing people out there on their own with no support system. So Jim is out there with a quiet lion who hates him in a blue room. Kermit is here with no friends, trying to run a show, going, I guess this is fine. Rolf is thrown into this sketch to make puns and has no Janice or Miss Piggy to cut him down.
Him questions and stuff.
No,
how does that even work?
Fran Brill character who just keeps yelling "ta-da" after every time he makes a joke.
I did not think that was good.
The puppet even looks like a knockoff Miss Piggy puppet.
Yeah, I thought it was her. Right when you see her, it's like Miss Piggy or that other pig who's got curly pig.
Annie Sue.
Annie Sue, that's right.
Yeah, it's like a pig puppet without the pig nose. And it just feels like a generic puppet they bought at the store because Frank couldn't come to set that week.
Right.
And like this character doesn't add jokes or make jokes better like Janice and Piggy did in Veterinarian's Hospital. And so it just is so weird that they did this with the pigs in space thing too, where they alluded to like, hey, this is like pigs in space, but worse.
Right. And they didn't even actually
like Veterinarian's Hospital.
They didn't quite allude. They did allude to it, I guess, with that intro voiceover, but it's also kind of like this kind of thing then makes you think, do they just not remember that they did Pigs in Space or Veterinarian's Hospital? What's going on?
Yeah, this one
here?
is much closer. Like this is a vet's hospital in pretty much every way, where a man with a fish through his head comes in and it leads to Rolf making tons of fish puns, which perfect Veterinarian's Hospital setup.
Yeah. Yeah, and they could call it like Bob's Apothecary or something like that and have him have, it doesn't have to be Janice and Piggy. It could be whoever. It could be two different anybody.
It's like
it could be two of the characters. It could be Leon and another character from the show.
It was like when we read the Muppet Show comic strips, and Rolf was like a doctor in those, but not the same doctor that he is in the Muppet Show.
He was
like a competent doctor who was like, I'm just going to go play golf all the time. And we're like, what is happening?
Rolf like had morphed by the end into Dr. Bob, who also was an actual doctor. Right. And then I think on Muppet Babies, they did like Rolf was a doctor, but they alluded to it and absolutely like he was a doctor and Piggy was a nurse and there was no allusion to it or something like that.
Yeah. So your theory of they just forget things immediately does feel like it holds some water, but
it feels more like they're trying to trick us somehow. It's academic dishonesty.
Yeah. They don't want to like go the whole way. Like they're just like, Yeah, so we know what made Vet's Hospital good. It was just the puns, right? And it's like, no, there's more to it than just the puns. Like, it was the energy of all three characters. And if you're not going to do that, then what are we doing here? So yeah, lovely to see Rolf.
Absolutely. Dressed as a wizard? Come on.
Yeah. And again, I think you could have done more with this. Like, the guy with the fish through his head. People. Maybe New Zealand is to blame.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's more you could have done here. But having a random character that we've never seen just yell "ta-da" over and over kind of really ruined it for me.
No, that's not the thing to do. And I think maybe it's unfair for me to say it would only be one veterinarian's hospital, because there's lots of weird old timey medicine you could do. And I guess in veterinarian's hospitals, sometimes they kind of were doing like weird old medicine. It wouldn't have been odd to see him put leeches on somebody or something. But yeah, to have like plague victims and all kinds of like a guy with an arrow sticking out of him or something, you could do that forever.
I'm starting to, I'm realizing, read too much into every scene now, because my thought process was, oh,
yeah,
Rolf,
Matt's gone insane.
Yeah, a little bit. But Rolf has surrounded himself with too many yes men.
You're getting into the psychology of Jim, definitely. Like when you said the thing where he would like, he's alone in all these situations, it made me so sad, because yeah, you're right. He's like, and he's not writing this stuff either. I don't think so. I don't know what's like.
I'm imagining somebody he's in the room outside. Sometimes, but it seems like he's not writing it.
Right, but somehow subconsciously, the state of this production is seeping into the writing of this production.
Yeah, just because Rolf needed Janice and Piggy to like call out his bad jokes.
Yeah,
and instead he got a lady who doesn't say anything other than "ta-da" when he makes a joke.
Seems like she loves his jokes, in fact.
Right. But this was the sketch where after it ends, Kermit goes, "Hospital, that's pretty bad. I like it." And I'm like, something about that reaction I feel like could work and has been done on the Muppet Show. But this to me again felt like a Kermit who didn't care whether or not it was good.
A laugh track could have also gotten that idea across. I don't know.
Right. When he has called out corny shit on the Muppet Show, but the audience loves it, or other people seem to be in it, he's like, well, I guess I was wrong. I guess that works. The audience loves it.
Yeah. Or he's doing exactly what you are saying that Piggy and Janice should be there doing. He's just not doing it to anybody.
Right.
He's just doing it to himself.
Hospital. Come on, Dr. Bob.
Yeah. And Rolf can't be alone. Rolf's whole point is that he's got somebody to play off of, or he's playing piano, or his two things. He's either got to be like the snappy rejoinder guy,
or somebody in the scene.
Yeah, right.
Because like when he's singing calmly at the piano, but he's talking to us during it, that works fine too.
That does.
But it is, yeah. I'm going to continue to read too much into this for sure, but it does just feel like Jim's being put out there on his own consistently.
We got to talk about Ted Danson and his way too sexy puppet wife now.
Okay, sexy's a word. I wrote down a puppet I absolutely hate.
She had human hands in not a fun Swedish chef way.
No. In a Lost on Earth, Gloria was her name? Puppet kind of way.
Right. She had latex gloves with press-on fingernails on is really what it was.
Yes. We had like a Liza Minnelli-ish head of a puppet.
Oh, no.
With real lady hands who was on a date with Ted Danson.
I would clarify, sexy in they were trying she was supposed to
Sam
be
doesn't
sexy,
want to sleep with this puppet is what he's trying to say.
I that's true. I do not want to. But I think that they were trying to make a puppet that maybe you would want to sleep with.
They're trying to make a puppet that at least Ted Danson could conceivably sleep with, and you wouldn't be like, Ted, what are you doing?
And you know, if you're sitting across from this Muppet in a skit, you would think to yourself, would I? I don't know.
It's 1989. But yes, we have this, for some unknown reason, creepy lady puppet on a date with Ted Danson. When Gonzo and Leon both show up as pirate waiters, and we find out this is sort of a pirate-themed restaurant bar situation.
Okay, my take on it was that they wanted to go on a cruise. For some reason, every cruise in the whole world was booked. For some reason, people all sign up for cruises at the same time every year, and they'd miss their window. And the only cruise they could find was literally a pirate ship. However, they were on a cruise ship, You're right.
Yeah, everything looked nice.
So I don't actually know. Now that you mention it.
I don't know either, because they're just having a nice dinner when Gonzo sort of strolls in and it's like, "Arr, mateys," and you're like, okay.
Yeah, you've thrown this all in the question for me now. I thought, okay, I don't know what they're going for then.
Yeah, I couldn't follow it well enough. I didn't know if, the pirates had taken over the cruise ship, if it was just a pirate ship, if somehow they didn't realize they were on a pirate-themed cruise. Could not tell you, and I watched this twice. But Ted Danson is presented a sword because he has to fight his way to the bar and has a big old pirate fight.
And if you on a pirate ship, anything you want, you got to fight for. So he whips off his clothes. He's like a very demure 80s guy, and then he rips off his clothes and he's got a swashbuckler outfit on, and he fights over to the bar.
I also feel like there's a joke in there about just like the bar scene where he's like, "Oh, it's one of those places where you have to fight to get to the bar."
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know.
But yeah, he disposes of a handful of Muppet pirates. Ted does not seem very into this.
To be fair, I don't know. He seems like a guy who's not very that doesn't surprise me that he wouldn't be very into this.
I think Ted Danson got fun in old age, but maybe it was less fun when he was younger.
Oh yeah, I guess he is pretty fun in The Good Place. But he's
Good
like
Place in that new show, Man on the Inside. He's very fun.
Yeah, he's a cool guy though. And the 80s is really different than the 70s in terms of like acting cool meant something so different.
I mean, yeah, you have to imagine
really fit into
during this time, Ted Danson is playing like the most handsome, coolest man in the world on a show where he's a bartender.
Has been for a long time.
Yeah, but his whole character is pretty much just he's the sexiest, coolest man in the world.
Yeah, who sleeps with many beautiful women.
Yes, and it is not surprising when every beautiful woman who walks into his bar wants to sleep with him. Like his character really is so irresistible that the challenge of his character is to choose to say no to women. That is like how he must settle down and stop letting women throw themselves at him.
Wow.
And I'm not making this up. You've watched Cheers. For anyone who hasn't watched Cheers,
I've only watched the first couple seasons of Cheers.
I mean, I think that's prime time for this version of him, though. Is this
that makes sense?
It's like you can't blame me for sleeping with hundreds of women. They come to me. How can I say no? I'm Sam fucking Malone. So yeah, then he gets to the bar, and for some reason they decide to make the bartender character insufferable.
Oh, I liked what they were going for, but I think I was focusing so much on the parrot who was finishing his sentences. Like, I think that was cute, but I do agree they could have done it better. They could have done it faster because it's a little confusing about like what, because he's like an old man who's like, and you could order and then the parrot's like a drink, kind of like the we finish each other's sandwiches type of thing. Like it could have been cute, but you're right, it wasn't really anything.
No, it just adds like 5 seconds to every line he says, where everyone's just waiting for him to finish his sentence. He is doing okay, and then Link Hogthrob shows up to say, "Hey, I'll help you out, Ted." And he swings on a rope and just falls into the ocean like a doofus.
Yeah, the one thing about this show that has shocked me more than anything else is how much Link Hogthrob is in this freaking show.
And they went through effort because there's a scene later with Link Hogthrob and Kermit in the same scene.
Yeah.
And so Jim was like, we must do this. I must have 2 of my characters on screen, and I must dub over lines. We have to put in extra effort to make sure Link is on screen.
Yeah. We don't have Frank. It seems like we don't have Richard. We got to get some, we got to try all my characters until we figure out which one people like.
Well, what if it was Rolf? Nah, that's crazy talk. No one likes Rolf.
Nobody likes Rolf.
But this sketch ends with Ted cutting off Leon's peg leg, which is one of the ruder things you could do to a pirate.
With the chainsaw. I liked that.
No, I like that too, but I was just like, oh, that's kind of dark. They're just like, yep, okay.
It was going to come out of nowhere too. He's just kind of like, and this is for you, and then chops his leg off. It's like, he didn't do anything to you.
Oh, and I think again the writing is poor. Because I think he literally just says like, so you're a pirate, right? That means you got a peg leg. And he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, saw. And it's like,
Matt, he announces his name literally as Peg Leg the pirate at the beginning.
Ah. But I do think Ted does ask him, like, so you have a peg leg.
Gotta remind the audience.
He confirms it, and then he chops it in half.
I guess it could be funny if his name was Pegleg the Pirate and he chopped his leg off and then revealed that he did not indeed have a peg
blood
leg.
starts gushing everywhere. He's like, I thought you were a peg leg. He's like, it's just a nickname.
Everybody else has a peg leg, not me. That's why it's funny.
It's like when you call a big guy tiny.
Yeah.
Well, we do see Beauregard. Oh, wait. I mean Lindbergh. Helping out in between scenes. One thing I will say the episode does better than the previous episodes we have seen, or at least, again, more interestingly, is that they have things like poke out of the television sets.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, like they have Clifford, they have the
out.
pirate poke out, and at one point when the TV set starts leaking, I think that's interesting to have that interaction. I think it's more interesting that we haven't seen that before. That feels like something you would write into like the idea of the show is like, oh, and sometimes things will come out of the sets like this.
Right.
But then to not do that consistently is kind of odd.
To think of it 3 episodes are, I guess this is only the 2nd episode. So
yes, of course. The blue screen also is being put to the test this episode in ways that it is not holding up to. When the pirates come in and there's like a blackout, there's like 6 characters flailing around screen, and you can see all the like artifacting around the edges of them, and it looks really rough. And then later on, Link Hogthrob sprays water on Kermit, and you famously don't want to deal with see-through materials in front of a blue screen.
It doesn't look good,
because the water just disappears. Like you don't see the water until it hits Kermit.
And it's not like blue screen wasn't just invented.
It's just messy. I don't know. We see Kermit keeping track of the show on a computer.
Why? Because he hasn't finished the show by the time he starts it.
I really thought that was going to go somewhere when he was doing it, though, didn't you?
It's just like Kermit should just like do a deep sigh after every single line that he has in this show, is what it feels like.
It feels like it's like implied, and especially the end of this episode, I think is all of the deep sighs added up into one moment.
Yeah.
But first, we obviously have to have a movie trailer for Karate Squid 3.
And guess what? It's racist.
The accent is as unfortunate as you would expect. And this was when I started to feel like, I know the theme is oceans, but this is the 3rd time we've used this set.
Mm-hmm.
And then they use it 2 or 3 more times. And I was like, okay. We then get the Extremes returning to perform Man-Eater by Hall & Oates. Do you like the Extremes?
No, they're not. They don't have they don't have like character. They're not like the Electric Mayhem where it's like every single one of them, even in the Muppet Show, you didn't really know anything about any of them, but you could be like, Floyd's the cool one. I guess Dr. T's also the cool one. Janice,
but
she's
he's
a girl
cool one who fucks.
She's a cool. Yeah. Janice is the cool one, but a girl. And Animal is crazy, and Zoot is high. But with these guys, it's just like I said, they just look like those koosh ball guys. They're so 90s. Izzy, the mascot from, they just are that Extreme, or the Golden Grams, crazy little Tasmanian devil guy.
Honeycomb,
Honeycomb, just that 90s big eye, crazy guy thing. And they're so much bigger than the shark too, that really bothered me. That the shark is just like so tiny trying to eat them, but it's like these guys could fucking kill a shark, no problem.
Yeah, I feel like the show has 2 modes and there's no in between. It's either boring or obnoxious. And I feel like the Extremes are obnoxious. And then every time they cut back to the TV studio, I'm bored and not finding it funny. And so it is just like obnoxious, bored, obnoxious, bored.
Yeah. I will say, if that pirate skit had been in the middle of an episode of Muppets Tonight or something like that, I probably wouldn't have thought much of it. Like,
I am so curious to see what we think of Muppets Tonight when we get there, because I have high hopes, but that's purely based on nostalgia.
I just think this one, for me, generally, the skits weren't great, but what really fails it is the framing device and not the individual skits. Like,
because I don't feel like Ted Danson is there. Like, I know he is,
and that's a big problem
Muppets,
too.
But the fact that, again, no real interaction with Kermit, doesn't have to show up to the TV studio. We don't see him coming in being like, hey, I'm here to do the Muppet Show. Like,
it's like, I don't get to sit down and talk to Kermit. Why is that exactly?
this feels like, sort of the COVID era television shows where they would have somebody on Zoom in a show, and you're like, okay, you're doing this so they didn't have to come into a TV studio so they wouldn't get sick. But I can feel the conceit of, well, we can't. How do we cover this? All right. Everyone's just going to have to be on Zoom for this one.
Or like they're having like contractual issues with Kermit, and Kermit like won't show up for
the last season of How I Met Your Mother. So reportedly, Jason Segel did not want to do the show and was like, "I'll do the show if you can get all of my shoots done in like a month." And so for that whole season, Marshall is traveling by himself to try and get to a wedding. And so he's not like interacting with any of the other characters for most of the season.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so he's like on the phone with them and all these things. But for the most part, when we see him, he's on a train or on a bus or driving across the country. So yeah, that is what it feels like, is there's like this weird thing where they wanted to make maybe a cheaper version of the show or something. And they wanted guest stars, but didn't want to commit to having a guest star fly to London and do all these things like they used to. So they just were like, hey, we'll set up a blue screen in the carriage house if you can pop by for an hour and fight some pirates.
Yeah, but that's on a set. The pirate thing is. So maybe are doing one set
a week.
Yeah, maybe that. I mean, that makes sense. That must be part of it. It's like, I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure which one this entirely falls into, either obnoxious or boring. But next we have Jacques Roach, who we did see previously when Jim was promoting the show on The Tonight Show. The only part of this that got me and then immediately lost me was, Zut alors, it is the giant lobsters. The giant lobster just felt like one of those Saturday morning cartoon interstitial kind of things like we said before, where they were just looking around the room like, what do we have? I guess we have some lobster puppets, but they're too big compared to the boat. All right, they're giant lobsters.
Right. Yeah, or like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which we said before, where it's like, we can't make any new animation, so let's just watch every episode of these old shows until we find.
Maybe that's we've talked about before how this could use some Space Ghost energy, but I think if this read as we are, it needs Space Ghost and it needs UHF energy. Like it needs a failing TV station energy.
That's right. They can't pretend like they're doing a good job.
Right. Or I think what's worse with Kermit's energy is he doesn't care if they're doing a good job.
That's right. That is
something finishes and he's like, well, that's content.
Yeah. He has said before, this show sucks and I don't care and I'm not going to do anything about it. You're totally right. It's like the Muppet $1 million
Kermit who's happy to make content.
Yeah. It's like, it should be like that $1 billion movie script idea or whatever, where they blow it all at the beginning.
Yeah.
That would be a fun TV show.
Movie ever made.
Yeah. Where they have like at
this point, they were still hoping to make in 1989 and clearly did not end up making.
Yeah. They could have just repurposed it for this, and they could have like the most beautiful 3D animated intro you've ever seen in your life. And then at the end of that intro, Kermit comes on and he's like, guys, I got to square with you. We spent all of our money on that.
Does that moment in the intro get you every time? Like where it switches into like the dark mode? Because it sort of like kicks off, it's like do do do, and then it's just like boom.
Yeah, this time I noticed it more than I had before. But get me in a good way, you mean, or get like
it just get you like you get a reaction. You're like, what just happened?
I think it's a great intro, and I love when he walks in down the stairs that just like seamlessly tie. I like that.
I noticed they didn't bother doing that for the outtake with the lion.
Oh,
you just walk into the room. There's no CGI stairs. Well, yeah, Jacques Roach happened. And then this is, I think, the moment Sam was alluding to earlier, where we have been building up throughout this episode that there's a hole in the floor. Now it is flooding. The whole studio is flooded. This is the moment when in the Muppet Show, Kermit maybe would have lost his cool and flipped out on everyone. But this version of Kermit maybe has done some meditation, has zenned out a little bit more.
Yeah.
He just starts sort of flopping around in the water and starts dancing to the blue Danube.
That's so weird. That's like, he's on Lexapro. You see those TikToks where it's like me on Lexapro and it's like a person upside down in their car and they're like, well, I hope you guys have a better day than I'm having. Like,
either Kermit is heavily medicated or he is completely burnt out.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
But this ain't my Kermit.
Nope. The dance thing was such a just like flopping around. It's like he's trying to make the best. Okay, sure. We have seen Kermit trying to make the best of a bad thing, especially like in the Muppet movie. But that's not really what this is, because like your studio's full with water. I don't know. And all you're doing is like, and then Ted Danson pops up and he's like, great job, Kermit. You're doing really good. And it doesn't seem ironic this time to me.
Well, if you thought it couldn't get any weirder, it's time for a fish story from Clifford. As Clifford stands behind a podium on the beach.
And this is basically Clifford's big debut. This is his big break. Yeah,
we saw him briefly in another episode, but this is pretty much your first introduction to Clifford. A man who cares a lot about the environment and really wants you to know about evolution. So he's got his little seashell podium that he's constructed on the beach here.
he hot glued him there himself.
But yeah, it becomes a story about pollution, as this fish named Ted, who crawled his way out of the water and onto the beach, eventually becomes an obnoxious human who throws garbage back into the ocean.
Yeah.
And eventually poisons the entire ocean, killing off all life.
They backpedal on that a little bit, like right away.
Yeah, because they immediately get a phone call from the fish in the ocean.
It's like, at first I was like, oh, kind of cool that Ted Danson is playing one of the puppets. I feel like we haven't ever really seen that before. Like I'm sure we have seen a celebrity guest voice.
There's been something, I think, but it was noticeably different in a good way.
Yeah, there's not like a Muppet Show episode where like all of a sudden one of the characters is played by the guest star. Again,
I'm sure someone will tweet us and say why we're wrong there, but I also don't remember it.
Right. And so this, I was like, okay, this is kind of like a cool twist, like getting people who don't usually do puppetry involved in this somehow, even though I'm sure he's not working the puppet.
Right.
Probably, maybe.
I don't think so. But the closest I remember, there was a story of Christopher Reeve getting to perform a rat in the background of a scene, but he wasn't doing a voice or anything. He just held the puppet up, I believe.
So in my head, I think this is the same thing I was doing with the old man with the parrot, where I was imagining like a better version of it so hard that I was like, that it really is what happened. So I was like, oh, Ted's going to turn into Lizard Ted, and Ted's going to turn into Monkey Ted, and then Ted can turn into Caveman Ted. And it's going to be like a fun puppetry evolutionary thing. But then when he just walks out as himself in like a t-shirt, I was like, okay, I'm checked out now because I've already gone on this journey in my head and I don't need to watch this anymore. I thought, honestly, I thought it was okay until the ending, which you've already alluded to. But it's so obvious and like on the nose. But, the 80s were a different time.
But it's still weird, even if it was trying like, I don't think it's as on the nose as it could have been. Like you think about those, whatever the PSAs we've seen with Kermit, like don't throw your trash in the park kind of thing. I would rather have that very clear energy than this weird starting off with evolution. I don't know. It felt a bit more pessimistic to me because this was, it felt almost like we've wasted this opportunity.
We have evolved.
Did this. We have done so much. Yeah. Like look at what we have become.
Yeah.
Because when it ends, basically Ted gets a call from his relatives under the sea, the old fish gang, who are like, hey, we're dying. So if you could stop throwing things in the ocean and also try to clean up the ocean, that would be great. And as we learned from Clifford, under the sea, no one ever breaks a promise to a relative.
That's such a fucking weird line to have to include. It's like, why would they're like trying to explain why the fish would believe him or something. But like the fish could have just said, okay, we have to take you at your word. We have no other choice. Instead of under the sea, no one ever breaks a promise to their relative. They probably eat their moms.
Well, and then the pessimistic side is like, we don't even really get Ted being like, you don't see him start to scrape the garbage out of the water trying to do his part. We just get Clifford going, well, it's all up to Ted. And we get a really, really, really weird long pause after that line where we cut out and we see Kermit watching this on the monitors from a director's chair. And after way too long, he turns and says, "Good night, everybody." And then we go to commercial. What the hell?
I mean, he's telling us we fucked up, I guess. He's like, I made all these PSAs. You guys didn't listen to me at all.
Do they think that they just made like that was like their drop the mic moment?
Absolutely. That's definitely what they were trying to do. Yeah, they were trying to make everybody in their living rooms be like, I gotta stop dumping all my petroleum in the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminds me of the thing that's like, I don't know, that individual recycling is great, but it's like, maybe show this to Nestle or something, you freaks. Like, what are you showing us for?
There's a line in there that I don't really remember where it kind of does that, but then they go, no, this is on you.
Yeah.
Because Ted Danson says when he's first confronted with the idea of pollution, he's like, right, yeah, the companies, the oil companies, the government, they need to do more. Right. And the fish is like, hey, no, you need to do better.
That's fucked. I forgot about that. But you're right, they do that. I was like, actually, fish, why don't you come up here and tell them yourself? There's nothing they aren't listening to us either. Okay. Anyway,
well, I understand the pushing individual responsibility.
Sure. Yeah,
go for it. But to show Ted Danson as trying to almost use that as an excuse, and then to have the fish brush it off as like, nah, we don't care about the government or big oil. Yeah, I don't think you're doing what you think you're doing there.
Yeah,
Jim.
I mean, definitely. Like, I grew up with the idea in my head that like my water bottles were being directly dumped right into the ocean or something like that.
Right. And then you hear about a giant oil spill killing all the birds and you're like, wait a minute.
Well, I mean, back then you were kind of like, meh.
Yeah.
Sorry, birds.
Thought that happened yesterday.
I guess we have to try harder not to pollute the ocean. I'll cut the rings of my Coke thingies.
Yeah. So and use a terrible straw that nobody likes.
Bad straw. Oh, bad straw.
But if anyone's looking for a last-minute Halloween costume, making a shirt like Ted Danson's that says, I survived the evolution.
That was
and wearing a red bandana around your neck. Yep. Pretty easy Halloween costume.
No one will get it. Everybody will think you didn't dress up for Halloween.
Or as you're trying to be like Bruce Springsteen or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, or a character from the movie Evolution.
Which everyone remembers.
Yeah.
Well, that is when our harsh transition pops in. And Jim says, hey, now let me tell you about a place called Lighthouse Island, which I did not expect to keep hearing Jim's voice for a little while as he narrates the opening of Lighthouse Island.
Yeah, I was all right with that. I actually was a little disappointed we didn't get to hear him a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think this felt like a more natural part of the show because he was narrating.
Yes, yeah, totally.
Than Storyteller, because obviously Storyteller is so specific and Middle Ages, medieval, whatever.
Yeah.
That it's weird for Jim to be like, and now this other guy.
Yeah. I'm just still trying to figure out Jim's the framing mechanism. So the framing mechanism is failing Muppet Television and it's failing the show. So Muppet Television is like a microcosm. I'm just imagining like the old Tales from the Crypt stories where it was like the there's the Crypt Keeper and the Vault Keeper and the Old Witch, and they would all kind of like sit in a circle and tell each other stories, and eventually and sometimes they like fight over, or they'd like interrupt each other's stories and be like, and then this happened. So I don't know, I'm just trying to imagine like this show has 3 hosts and why it needs 3 hosts and what you could do with that, or what you could like, it often has the Storyteller, Kermit, and Jim, and like how you could cut that down. I don't know. I keep coming to like the Storyteller could be the host or something like that, but I don't know.
Or you could even have a moment where, Jim throws the Storyteller and he's like, thanks, Jim. I'll take it from here.
Yeah. But it just feels like the Storyteller feels like they already filmed all of it. And then they're like they can't go back.
The problem is they put Jim in this magical space, surreal world with a lion. Yeah. And yet there's nothing special or
he just points at pictures on
or whatever about the space. Like they don't use the magic at all.
That's true.
Like he has powers presumably to walk down a CGI staircase.
Yeah,
but then he just talks to a guy on Zoom.
Yeah, basically he has a Zoom computer and a digital picture frame, and those are what he's got in his magic zone.
My mom's got those.
We're on one right now. Where is Matt? Because Jim Henson.
Yeah. This is Jim Henson Hour, brought to you by Aura Frame. Keep your storyteller, man, on your Aura Frame.
But yeah, I think, and I'd like to set up too. He was like, here, that's an island of fishermen and practitioners of the lost art. And I was like, all right, I'm in. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, this is, it's written by Jerry Jewell, who we've talked about many a time.
And this is very obviously written by Jerry Jewell, I would say.
Yes. Directed by Eric Till, who directed Fraggle Rock and The Christmas Toy, two things we loved. And fun fact, this was recorded exactly 37 years ago today as we record.
Whoa. They were on
October
set
12th.
Filming it.
Yeah, October 12th, 1988. They were in Nova Scotia in a place called Peggy's Cove filming this special.
That rules.
Sam?
Yeah.
I loved this.
You know what? I actually really liked it too. It didn't lose me until the ending when I was like, well, there's a much easier way to solve this problem. Which I think
the ending was fine by me. It lost me at like one moment in the middle. It lost me a little bit, but the ending, I was like, fuck, I love this thing.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And I thought like they wanted it to be a series. And to me, it felt like Baby's first Stephen King kind of. Like it was like a little bit Needful Things, a little bit like coveting this item and selling your soul for it. It could have
also been, because the idea was that like the town would be the same and your protagonist would be different sort of every time.
Yeah.
So that,
but they probably go to that bar. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it feels goosebumpsy. It feels Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
It feels it definitely could be an ongoing show, which for those that don't know, we talked about this probably a year ago now. I don't remember because it was in Jim's Red Book. One of the last Jim's Red Book entries is Jim writing in Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia, filming Lighthouse Island. And this was when they were making it, but that entry talks a lot about how this was originally an idea from 1971 that Jerry Jewell had. When they were working on The Frog Prince and Musicians of Bremen, Jerry Jewell was kicking this idea around to do a non-Muppet TV show called Lighthouse Island. And it was pretty much this. Like, it's not that far off. The pitch was the half-hour series was to take place in a magical village called Land's End, and the action for each episode would be introduced by an eccentric lighthouse keeper named Jason Potts.
Jason is a weird name for what I assumed was to be an old guy, but
I'm Jason.
I guess Jason and the Argonauts doesn't get much older guy than that, but still.
Yeah. Jason Potts. Call me Jay.
Or Jace. Call me Jace. Jace
Call
Potts.
me Jace. It's the 80s.
That's interesting because I was imagining him before I knew that he came up with this idea so long ago. I was imagining Jerry being done with Fraggle Rock and moving back to America and being like, remember when I lived in Canada? That was fucking crazy. It's like,
Let me tell you what
weird.
Canada was like.
Yeah. This is a normal day in Canada. Can you believe it?
But yeah, this was one of the sample stories that Jerry had presented in their initial pitch for the show. That is almost identical to what we actually see here.
Okay.
And yeah, they never made the series, but 17 years later, we're like, hey, that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I really like the Fraggle Rockiness of this stood out to me a lot because I was just imagining, like, it's so easy to imagine Clara as like a weird eccentric Fraggle who's like a deal with a devil type thing, or like Gobo went too far into the wrong cave, ran across this lady's thing full of artifacts, and she's like, you do anything for me, huh? And then he has to help her steal something. Like, that's a great Fraggle Rock episode.
She's almost like a more villainous Marjorie the Trash Heap.
Totally. She's a Wander
if you went to Marjorie
with,
and she was like, take those slippers from my trash pile. See what happens to you. Which I feel like she has done a couple times where she's like, well, watch this fail miserably.
I'm in a bad mood today. I'm going to fuck with these little guys. Yeah, totally.
I could solve this all with my psychic powers immediately, but maybe not.
And I can even see Gobo at the end being like, well, actually, I tricked you, you old witch,
Yeah, I'm a mermaid now.
That would be a weird ending for Gobo, yeah. There's Murgles, so he could go be a Murgle.
He could fall in love with a Murgle.
Gobo fall in love with a Murgle. And, okay, anyway.
Getting into this actual story that really exists, we have, speaking of weird-ass names, Zeb Norman is our main character in this.
Yeah. That's just a normal Canadian name, Jerry says to himself.
Well, he's I'm very confused about some of the geography of this story because Zeb has ridden his bicycle a long, long way to this island, which seems like a small town community. So I'm not really sure if it's actually a really big island or if he took a ferry somewhere along the way.
And partway I was even confused if he, like, it seemed like he maybe lived there to me every now and then, like he knew too much about it or something.
Well, he's looking for Clara Buford's shop to get a wedding present for his soon-to-be wife. The only bad thing I'll say about this, honestly, is there's a lot of very obviously dubbed characters throughout this that, I don't know, it just took me out because it happens like 4 times in a row where characters are very clearly dubbed. And I'm like, okay, like get back to the people on set actually speaking to each other, please.
Yeah. I don't ever notice that kind of thing. I think of a lot about how ADR is so common, like, and I'm always like, I've never. They must be so good at it. How are they so good at it?
Most things are good at it. I'm often looking for when you're seeing the back of a character's head and they're talking, is the side of their face matching the words they're saying?
I guess I'm just even imagining going into the recording studio and trying to recapture a performance like that on set and just being like,
I mean, the one point where I try to really notice it and when I can tell a show has done a very good job of it is when you see characters out in a very windy or terrible weather situation, like they're on the beach or the wind is blowing really hard in their faces or everything like that, because on set they have, 100-mile-per-hour fans causing this storm and everything like that. They are not capturing sound. No. It will not work for the movie. So they are re-recording everything they're saying later on in a studio so you can actually hear the words.
Which is so crazy.
When it's done well and combined with good sound design and everything, you never think about it. Yeah. But there are times when it sounds a little too crisp or a little too... the performance doesn't quite match the same energy you're seeing from the actor. But that is when I notice it the most, is when I'm like, it's so windy. There's no way this sound worked.
Movie magic. Anyway, what like this really made me think about again is how good Jerry Jewell is at world building. And you don't even like notice he's doing it, or like even with just like a couple sentences where it's just like, yeah, there's a bar here called the No Name Bar, and it's not the name of the bar. It's literally a bar with no name, but they still have to have a sign. And like this island's weird. It has practitioners of ancient magic, and this weird old lady lives here. And then a little girl with a polar bear. And suddenly you're like, okay, I know pretty much everything. Like I know the rules of this island, or that partially there are no rules and partially they're like a weird secluded fishing village. Like I can extrapolate this whole world and it's fun to live in.
Yeah, like I'd almost be prepared for literally anything to happen.
As long as it involved ancient magic or fishing somehow.
Yeah, and I think that's, whether it's a Stephen King or a Goosebumps or whatever. I guess maybe more Stephen King because Goosebumps doesn't always need to be in the same location. Yeah. Same with Are You Afraid of the Dark? But this just felt like I could easily watch 10 episodes of a show happening in this small town. Right. And I think they have me hooked just from this first episode to be interested enough in what could happen with those bar patrons and what could happen with Clara and what could happen with Fred, especially, who is my favorite.
And I feel so bad for him by the end of this, which I'll get into when we get to the end of it. There's justice could have been served to Fred and he could have gotten everything he wanted, I think.
I think if you do a whole season of this, though, Clara and Fred fall in love.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because they almost feel like they're in cahoots a little bit.
Right.
Or they've
known each other forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they used to be in cahoots and then had a falling out over this pearl. But I think they could come back together.
Okay. I would like that. That's cute.
I think this also just makes me want to see, and I don't think we get this, more non-Muppet things from Jerry Jewell.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we get anything non-Muppety from Jerry Jewell ever again or ever before this. But I think he did a great job.
I do too. There's just something about his vibe that I think works really well. Like it or hate it, I think it works perfectly for TV. Like, especially in this era of like I don't know. It's just like good heightened magical realism storytelling that works great for like a morality tale that doesn't feel really cloying.
Well, in the world building thing you were talking about, like with Fraggle Rock or Emmett Otter or whatever he's writing, I think he's so good at establishing a world so quickly that you understand and just accept that's the way things happen here.
Right. And like even like tying magic into it by just being like, I don't know, by just being like, well, just magic. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I wonder if writing for puppets has that effect on someone. Where if you have to write a thing where puppets are believable in this world, and whether they're married to humans or they have a human daughter, if it's like the Frog Prince, these things where it's like, I have to write a world where it's weird enough that you're not thinking about King Gosh Posh having a human daughter.
Right. Yeah.
And I think he succeeds
Yeah.
more than he fails. But we find out more about Zeb, who's never met his fiance. They're just pen pals. We meet Clara, the shopkeep, who's played by Helen Burns, who is Chris Langham's mother. She is also, you know, an actress that has done a lot of things. But coincidentally, she is also Chris Langham, who is working at the Muppets at this time and has previously appeared on the Jim Henson Hour. She is his mother.
He hosted the fashion show or thing.
Right, yeah. And he popped up quickly in episode 3 as well, which we haven't seen. I'm a little confused about what Clara knows and doesn't know sometimes in this. Like clearly she sees the picture of Rosalie and she's like, that's a mermaid and he doesn't know. I'm going to sell him shoes.
Right, which is pretty funny.
But
that's
also
a great gag.
She's really adamant that he can't have the silver shoes.
Okay, that bothered me so much by the end of it too. Because at the end, she's like, they have magic powers? And then it's like, don't you remember 15 minutes ago when you refused to sell him these? And it's like, those are just family heirlooms. That's like, you got that worked up and it really, like, it must have just really been a family heirloom. Why'd you have them out on your shelf?
In the moment, it seems like she's making that up as a lie to keep him from buying the shoes. She's like, you can't have, these are a family heirloom. You can't buy these. They're not for sale.
Yeah.
But then at the end, she's like, I thought they were just a dumb family heirloom. They're magic.
And then, I was like, well, maybe she was doing that so that he would beg for them so she could get him to do whatever. But she had offered him another pair of shoes that was just like, oh, why don't you take these ones? Like, that was an idea she had on the fly.
Yeah. If he had just immediately said, yes, I'll take those blue ones.
Yeah.
Story over.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's like, if there had been one more pass or like somebody else had read this script, there's a couple things like that I think could have been tweaked really easily, where she would have just been like, from the beginning, she would have been like, I would sell you shoes, but the only ones I have left are these ones and they're a family heirloom. I simply can't do it. And then make him beg for them. But I don't know. Yeah.
It all works out to be okay, but her reasoning about not wanting to sell those shoes and then her not knowing anything about the shoes at the end just doesn't quite line up.
Yeah, it is really funny. It's like, what was your freaking problem, old lady?
But he does say, I'll do anything to have these shoes. And then she's like, oh, really? Anything? And then she says one of those sentences again where no one ever has said words this way, but I'm so glad she did. She says, I have an errand on Hog Island, but I can never figure out how to make the motors on the boats work.
Which also feels like it's going to pan out to mean something, but she really just doesn't know how boats work, I guess.
Which I guess maybe was the first draft of the line. And then Jerry was like, well, she can't just say, I don't know how to drive a boat. So how can she say that? That sounds more mystical and weird. I can never figure out how to make the motors on the boats work. Like it makes it sound like motors are new.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I was thinking. Eventually somebody would be like, this lady is 10,000 years old, or she's cursed to never be able to leave the island of her own volition or something like that.
Ooh, both of those are good twists. I like the idea that she's so old, but hasn't really kept up with like new changing technology.
Yeah.
Or that, yes, she's like a vampire where she has to be like invited to leave in this case. She has to be taken off the island. She cannot take herself off the island.
Yeah. As Jerry has this page pinned up on his wall for 17 years. He's like, I just can't crack this line.
He just has like a card that says boats, a card that says motors, and a card that says figure out. And he's like, what order should these go in?
Yeah.
Well, they shake on the deal, which obviously means it's you have to do it now. And then she's like, it's just out in the bay. We could leave in an hour. And the next scene is them leaving in a boat. So I'm not entirely sure why they needed an hour. She's so specific when she says we could leave in an hour. And it's like, we're both just standing here in this shop.
Maybe it takes an hour to walk to the boat.
I guess maybe you have to barter with the bartender because it seems like they took the bartender's boat.
You got to rent the boat or something like that.
But it's just such a specific thing to do. It's like, again, like I think I called out on this show before, the arbitrary nature at the end of Wizard of Oz, where the Wicked Witch is like, I've got you. And now I'm going to turn this hourglass over. And when this runs out, I'm going to kill you. And you're like, okay, you could just do it now, but that's fine. And this just feels like, again, such a specific thing to say that it makes me just wonder, like, did they just sit there and have a cup of tea in the shop?
And it doesn't have, it has no bearing on anything, except that they shouldn't go at night. Like, you should probably just wait till the next day.
You could have left an hour earlier and you wouldn't have shown up in pitch black, probably. Because that, also, they make it sound like it's not that far away.
It seems like it takes them a long ass time to get there.
The first time you see that island from the boat, you're like, that's a fucking far away island.
Yeah.
It's just out in the bay. I don't think it's true.
And you can only go half as fast too because your boat sucks. They don't have a better boat on the whole this whole island.
I mean, there was a giant ferry, so there's definitely better boats.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got the boat from the bartender who's like, hey, don't go over half throttle because the boat will overheat.
Man, I'm just thinking, I know if I was in Dorothy's shoes, I would say, why did you turn the hourglass over? And then I'd be like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. The witch would be like, oh, I don't know. Guess you're right.
Maybe in Wicked Part 2, we'll learn about her weird concept of time.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe she got to charge her magic or something like that. I'm not sure. You could just shoot me
just make the
something.
monkeys. I gotta go read my spell book real quick. Give me a little bit.
Why don't you just stab me? I mean, yeah. Go read your book.
Yeah, just. But yeah, the motor does immediately overheat, even though I don't think they did anything wrong.
No, the lady says you gotta go faster. Remember?
But I don't think he's like, no, he said not to.
No, she
and
says,
so we don't
whose
see him
errand?
say.
She says, whose errand is this? And she makes him do it. The implication is she's forced him to do it.
Right. But then the next thing that happens when it overheats is she goes, terrific. I thought you knew everything about boats.
Yeah, she's just an asshole.
Did he say that ever? He never implied that he knew things about boats.
Yeah, she's just your classic Jerry Jewell, like, hypocrite, you know?
Yeah, she does have another moment coming up in pretty soon where I'm like, what just happened? Why are you mad now? Because a strange monster attacks the boat.
She's like the Mean Genie, which we just watched. We just rewatched the Mean Genie. She's got Mean Genie vibes a bit. Yeah,
we just rewatched Wembley and the Mean Genie to appear on an episode of Fraggle Talk Classic, the Tough Pigs podcast, and I don't know when that episode is coming out, so I think it has not come out yet as you're hearing this, but look forward to that pretty soon. Yeah, we have ourselves a Mean Genie here as the boat gets attacked by a strange sea monster. This is the one part of the episode I will say the filmmaking felt rough.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel a lot of tension in this moment, and this was the first scene where I started to like lose interest in the episode a little bit. I think I had like the beginning of this hooked me. I was so in that when this monster attack happened and it wasn't that interesting, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this episode
zoned out.
Actually.
Yeah, I zoned out for a lot of the exploration of the island and then locked back in when they were in the cabin getting attacked by the octopus.
Yeah.
But I was also imagining somebody under the water with that monster trying to be like, yeah. And that made me kind of think, well, this was probably really hard. So it's okay that it doesn't look that great, I guess.
Yeah, it was a little bit like the whole Jaws thing where they couldn't use the shark, but they didn't have time to make a Jaws. And so they're like, we got one shot of the sea monster and everything else is just going to be quick cuts of you in a boat going, whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
It feels like, I feel this way a little bit too in the shrieking eel scene in Princess Bride. Like one of my all-time favorite movies. But that scene just feels like they're in a tank of water that's about 10 feet by 10 feet. And it feels like the least grand of any scene in that movie.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
it feels like they're in Rob Reiner's swimming pool or something in his backyard trying to film that.
Or like when you see Godzilla walking into the ocean in a 70s Godzilla, and you're like, yeah, this is the first time I can tell that there's just a bunch of guys smoking cigarettes right behind you.
Right. Like water is very hard for scale. And so when you're trying to make me believe that's a giant lizard man, but the water looks normal scale.
Yeah.
Now I understand it's a man in a suit. We learn that the sea monster's name is Fred because this is her old pal Fred, who at one point came to this island with her in the past for a jewel, a pearl, that has the power of transformation. And she says, if I had that pearl, I could wish myself into anything that walks or flies or swims. I had that pearl once, but it was stolen by Fred. And so we learn that Fred is the man who has this pearl, has turned himself into a sea monster to try and keep them off the island. And he's out there and could turn into literally anything to try and kill them.
He's a bird at some point, I believe, too.
In his words, he is a flying beast. Because as they walk into the woods, we see a giant creepy bird eye watching them.
Yes.
And it pulls out to reveal this like horrible looking bird. And I'm like, Fred, you could choose anything, man.
You could be a cool looking bird.
Why don't you be a big ugly bird?
Yeah.
But then we see Zeb and Clara walking through the woods looking for the pearl when some big bird feet start sweeping through the air trying to attack them. They run away, stumble upon Fred's cabin, luckily, where she hopes to find the pearl. But Fred starts to shake the cabin with his giant bird feet first. I'm not going to go on and on about Lost too much, but this feels very much like an episode of Lost where there is also a very creepy cabin. So,
do you think like they watched it? Or
no? Okay. I think it's not that on the nose, but it definitely like you could watch them back to back and be like, oh, okay, like I see why Matt made this connection.
Okay.
But Fred also changes into some sort of tentacle monster at a point and sneaks a tentacle through the cabin slats to try and creep him out.
I don't feel like Fred's trying as hard as he could to stop them from doing this.
It's his cabin.
Yeah, why doesn't he just go in the door as a bear and kill them or something?
Become a giant gopher and dig underneath the floor or something like.
Or a gorilla. It's not a very good looking cabin. It has big enough holes in the sides that tentacles can fit through, so...
Yeah, but it's also a tentacle that can be beaten back with a tea kettle or something he hits it with. And he's like,
I felt bad for him. It literally breaks his hand.
Yeah. But they then find the magic pearl in the mouth of a human skull hanging from the ceiling. Fred, I have questions.
Guess. Well, yeah. Fred's got some problems himself, maybe.
Fred murdered a man.
Maybe it was his dad's skull. He does mention later his dad gave him the pearl.
Yeah, that's what he meant. Dad gave me the pearl from his own mouth.
I found it in his brain.
Well, they go outside and they find Fred, who is played by Jerry Nelson in the flesh.
Yeah, crazy to see.
I love Fred. I love Fred and Clara. I want them to be the whole show.
Matt's writing the first Fred and Clara / fiction on an archive of our own.
But
yeah, I liked him too. Then they did have a fun, very lightly suggested, like, my dad gave this to me and I gave it to you, which definitely is loaded with some kind of something.
Oh, don't worry, Sam. I had to write down every Fred quote because Jerry Nelson's performance and Jerry Jules' writing is just magic together.
Okay.
And so when Zeb says, does this pearl really have the power of transformation? He says, God almighty, I did my sea monster. I did my flying beast. I did my tentacle. How much do you need?
Wow. When you say it like that, he's just Pa Gorg, huh?
He's then like, you stole it from my daddy's stuff after he died. And Claire's like, you said I could have it. And she's like, well, I didn't know then how you could turn into stuff with it, did I?
That's pretty fun. I like that.
And then Zeb does reluctantly give Clara the pearl so that he can get the slippers. And Clara says, now we have what we came for. And Fred goes, I don't.
Yeah, I felt really bad. And then by the end, he's got a broken hand and no transformation pearl.
Well, and Clara is like, well, I guess we better take you back with us. And he says, I wouldn't ride with you to the back door of hell. You tell Carl Sims to come and get me. And Clara says, Carl hates your guts.
What the hell was that all about? Poor
this felt
guy.
like some Banshees of Inisherin kind of weird storytelling where I'm like, Carl, we don't really know. He was the man in the bar who was also dubbed over by Jerry Nelson.
How are you going to make this episode later? Why they hate each other if you want to? Just two Jerrys screaming at each other?
But Fred's just like, well, that's a damn lie. And I'm like, you introduced a weird bit of like Carl Sims lore of, I guess Carl Sims and Fred are old friends. And Clara really wants to hurt Fred by saying Carl hates your guts now.
Weird.
Maybe I just love Jerry Nelson so much.
Yeah, me too. He's got so many great voices. He's doing his when he's being the fish who's calling Ted Danson earlier. He's doing like a Gobo Fraggle Robin thing, and I'm like, I would listen to anything this little freak told me. It sounds so sad.
A voice that I think you hated initially, by the way.
I
when
know,
we first
but
started this
now I
podcast,
love
we were
him.
talking about Robin the Frog.
Yeah, he's so much better than I thought Robin was, and Gobo is like twists that into being a little bit of like a hateable, like he uses his cute little voice to be manipulative sometimes, which I think is also a fun twist on it.
Well, Rosalie is here. We see her sitting awkwardly facing away from us on a pier.
How fast did you guess she was a mermaid?
I accidentally spoiled it for myself.
Oh, okay.
Which was a bummer, because then I knew the whole time she was a mermaid.
That sucks.
Yeah. I read the Jim's Red Book thing first, and it said she's a mermaid. And I was like, oh, well, okay. Now I know that.
Yeah. Right after Clara said you should buy her some shoes, I wrote down she's a mermaid.
Okay. Well, you figured out, I think, faster than I would have had I not known. So Zeb walks over to meet her. At this point, I was still pretty convinced, but the show has tricked me that he does not know she's a mermaid.
Yeah, that tricked me too.
Clara comes over, I guess, to gloat and say, haha, I sold you shoes for your mermaid wife.
You gotta watch your prank play out.
But much like a lot of pranksters, she hates being pranked.
Yeah.
Because she finds out Zeb knew Rosalie was a mermaid, and he was just trying to get these silver slippers the whole time, and they worked together to get them, which I love that twist. I just love that there is a twist.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun.
Zeb tells Rosalie that he had to give Clara the pearl, and now Clara is like, hey, I'm going to get revenge on you because you pulled a prank on me. But thankfully, as Sam mentioned earlier, Rosalie moves slightly towards Clara. Clara slips on a fish, and the pearl flies into a jar of acid.
Okay, here's what should have happened, though.
You didn't think that was a perfect storytelling moment?
Shoes have power, they say. She's like, the shoes have power? And then if they had said, yeah, we'll trade them back to you, you won't even believe how powerful they are for the pearl. And then she's like, okay, they have introduced a pearl that lets you transform into anything. Why can't like he have the pearl?
He could have in the moment been like, mermaid maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have turned into a mermaid without the magical shoes that turn him into a mermaid. I just think, Matt, that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't have a Wiki Feet page of himself wearing some high heels.
That's true. Yeah, that was like another fun little twist too, that he puts the shoe, like I was thinking she'd put the shoes on and have human feet, but it was fun that he put the high heels on. Which is what they definitely want
you to think is happening. Right. They're setting that up like, oh, so he knew she was a mermaid. They must be getting these shoes because somehow it's going to turn her into a lady.
I think if a girl, well, if a hot girl told me I should turn into a mermaid so I could be with her, I'd probably do it. But I think if given the choice between me turning into a mermaid or her turning into a human, I'd probably say, I am not going to swim around the fucking ocean for the rest of my life. I'm so sorry.
But what if you could do it while looking like a Sears catalog? Because my favorite detail of this is after he becomes a mermaid, we see his mermaid legs. He takes off his jacket to get ready to go in the ocean. But leaves on his very 80s sweater and collared shirt combo.
That's so weird.
And Rosalie has on like a white, fleece jacket and
not
scarf.
Ocean wear.
And they both jump into the ocean dressed like a Gap ad. And I just wrote, hell yeah.
Yeah. Those two, someone around a wet, stinky 80s clothes in cold-ass Nova Scotia.
They cut to the water, and I was waiting to see them like pop up, not like that, like they would be more
in
shiny or magical or something like that.
Yeah,
but no, they pop up and they're just soaking wet.
I didn't think about that, but that's really funny.
Well, because just the way it's filmed, the way they're dressed looks like it's some sort of like double Mentos 80s, 90s commercial.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're mermaids is a weird twist to it.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't want to take his shirt off. And then they were like, well, if he's not going to take his shirt off, I guess she can't take her shirt off and have the classic shell bra on or something like that. Even a swimsuit would be better.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. But I did enjoy that it happened.
Yeah, the ending of this is definitely like, what the fuck? That the thing falls into that acid, and then poor Fred, his pearl got melted. He had the power to turn into anything, and now he's got nothing. Made me feel really bad for him.
It did make me forget that the Muppet Television part of the show wasn't that good.
Yeah, and it's about the ocean, and it's about breaking and not breaking promises too. So it does tie in pretty well. But the Muppet Television part was it the worst? No, I don't know. It's tied with Louie as the worst we've seen. The one we see in episode 3, I think we liked a little bit better.
I think if I had to rank them, it would be 3, 2, 1. As far as like, I think 3 is the best one we've seen. 2 is slightly better because I think it did some interesting things with the water coming out of the TV set and stuff. Right. And then number 1, I just didn't like that at all. So
yeah. I thought I'd like Digit way more than I do too. I do not like Digit.
He's not wacky enough.
Nah.
Well, the episode actually ends with Jim Henson, who I'm not convinced they wrote anything for him ever. I think they just pointed at him and said, "Oh yeah, Jim, say something," because he's standing there holding a whale puppet, which we have not seen in this episode. I will point out.
Nope.
And he says, "You've seen a lot of sea creatures tonight. Here's one a puppet of a whale, or a whale of a puppet, depending on how you look at it. That's all for now. We'll see you next week." He says, "Here's one a puppet of a whale." And I think maybe what the cue card said was, "You've seen a lot of sea creatures tonight. Here's one, a puppet of a whale."
Yeah.
But what he said was, "You've seen a lot of sea creatures tonight. Here's one, a puppet of a whale."
Oh,
and you're like,
Jim.
I think there's a comma in there somewhere, Jim.
Get this man a puppet on his hand. He needs it.
Yeah. But I just feel like it's a code phrase of "here's one, a puppet of a whale." And I'm just like,
it activated somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
Man, they should make a movie. Sorry, I just thought of something. They should make a movie where somebody's like in the 70s or something. They implant a code word in a TV show like that, and then it becomes a meme on like TikTok, like 50 years later, and the person's still alive. So they're just like super activated all the time. I know there's got to be something there, right?
I think there's something there.
I think we've had maybe like 50 good ideas for movies on this show. Someday someone's going to find it and steal them all.
Well, just look back to the transcripts anytime we said "good idea." We'll be like, "Oh, wow. Look at all these good ideas we've had."
I need somebody out there to be writing these down for us.
Well, Sam, I'm about to say something to you that I have not said in a long, long time.
I think I know what it's going to be.
It's time for our Muppet of the Week.
Do I remember what the theme, which banjo sting I used for this? I don't know.
I mean, it's the one that's got dust on it that you haven't used in forever.
That's right.
I think it's the one that you've told me in the past to use sounds like it's saying Muppet of the Week.
They all to me at this point sound like they're saying the thing. There's like, what did we watch this time? Time for the Muppet of the Week.
Yeah, so look for that one.
What else have you watched? Yeah, they all have the little... Anyway, I'll find it.
Well, the last time we did a Muppet of the Week was Alice Snuffleupagus in December of 2024.
Okay, not as long ago as I thought, but also almost a year ago.
Yeah, but that was also before that one. There was a giant gap as well.
Right.
So we did that. It was episode 164. And the previous Muppet of the Week before that was Bean Bunny in episode 139.
Wow.
And that's the actual, the last Muppet of the Week we actually rated because we forgot to rate Alice. So the last time we rated a Muppet of the Week was in May of 2024.
Gosh. And what was my rating system? I don't even think I remembered back when we did it every week.
It didn't stay consistent ever, I think. By the time we got to Bean Bunny, I gave him a 7 out of 10. You gave him a 9 out of 10, or, quote, a half star less than whatever I gave Rizzo. Someone go back and look at what I gave Rizzo. And for the record, you gave Rizzo 10 stars out of 10.
Oh, okay. So he's a 9.5.
You got close.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, we've done 5 stars. We've done 10 stars. When we first started, we did sort of an arbitrary number of stars.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was doing a 60-star scale, and you were doing a 5-star scale. And then at some point, we decided we should probably do a 10-star scale.
Well, nobody said we were good at podcasting, okay?
So all that to say, this week's Muppet of the Week is Clifford.
Yes,
the catfish-looking Muppet who is sometimes host, sometimes musician, purplish pink, maybe magenta, man Muppet with dreadlocks and some fun outfits.
Especially in the Muppets Tonight era, he starts wearing like cool suits and stuff.
Yeah. Kevin Clash, who is the performer of Clifford, based the personality on Hawk, a character portrayed by Avery Brooks in the 80s crime drama Spencer for Hire, which is a show I did not know existed, but I saw a clip of it that I watched and said, yep, that seems like Clifford.
Okay, I should check that. I know the name of that show, but I don't know anything about it.
But yeah, Avery Brooks in that show, it does have Clifford vibes. I saw a scene where he was arresting Samuel L. Jackson. Clifford debuted here on the Jim Henson Hour in 1989. We will see him as the bass player for the band Solid Foam, who we have not seen yet, except kind of in the background of episode 3. He is in the band during the closing song.
Yeah, right. Okay.
He will go on to be the host of Muppets Tonight in 1996. And that's definitely his biggest role, though I've read that Kevin Clash did not enjoy the fact that they removed Clifford's sunglasses. He liked
I was
going
to say, have we seen him without his sunglasses, or is that the first time you see them?
I believe Muppets Tonight is when they remove his sunglasses from him as a character. Okay. And then he doesn't have them at all through Muppets Tonight. And then he makes a couple appearances post Muppets Tonight in Muppets from Space and the Muppets Wizard of Oz. And in those, he's back with his sunglasses.
I think he looks fine without his with and without. I think both are okay.
But yeah, he was last seen to Muppet fans in the Muppets Wizard of Oz in 2005.
2005?
Yeah, it's been 20 years since Clifford's made an appearance.
He wasn't in Most Wanted or the other?
Nope, no Clifford in those. Part of that is, I'm sure, the controversy surrounding Kevin Clash. But the 2011 Muppets movie was before that happened. So they must have just decided to not have Clifford in that movie beforehand.
That's interesting.
But yeah, some fun facts. According to an Arsenio Hall show appearance, which we'll see in a little while, Clifford doesn't have a last name and enjoys being spanked.
Okay.
And in a promotion for the United Kingdom premiere of the Muppets, which I believe the 2015 show, maybe, or the 2011 movie. I'm not sure because they just call everything the Muppets.
Yeah.
Kermit answered a question on Twitter under the hashtag #AskKermit. And when asked what happened to Clifford, Kermit tweeted, "He went back to his roots as a bass guitarist and supplements his income as a male model."
Okay. I believe that from him. He's a handsome guy. It's crazy that he was in that Muppet Monster Adventure game.
I think, in the 90s, he was the cool new Muppet.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone, I think, for the most part, liked Clifford at the time. At least kids did. I liked Clifford. But he definitely felt like the new Muppet. But that's, unfortunately, for now, all we know about Clifford. I'm sure we'll hear him drop a few more nuggets of wisdom throughout his time on Muppets Tonight and stuff. But there's not much more to know from Muppet Wiki or the Muppet Character Encyclopedia. So, Sam, for now, what would you rate Clifford out of whatever scale you'd like to choose?
Like you just mentioned, the fact that he was the host of Muppets Tonight, I'm sure there was lots of articles about how stupid that was. And it was a very audacious idea, but I loved him for some reason. I thought he was great. And I remember him very clearly from the Muppets at Walt Disney World playing with the Electric Mayhem. So to me, that was one of my earliest Muppet things. He's been in the Electric Mayhem forever. And is not anymore. And it was only really just for that one thing. I also had the action figure of him, the Palisades action figure of him, and he was one of the better ones. And I still remember how his face feels, his textured face, and his hair felt really cool, and he came with sunglasses. So I really like him, and I was excited when he popped up. And it's also kind of crazy that such a late introduced Muppet, I don't know, he feels successful. He looks like a Muppet in a way that none of the other Jim Henson Hour introduced Muppets look like a Muppet. He'd fit right in if you send him back to the 70s and he popped up in the Muppet Show. you go, oh, there's Clifford.
That's a very good point. And especially when you think about Muppets Tonight, you know, you're not, that cast is not made up of Jim Henson Hour puppets that have held over. Like, that cast is the classic Muppets and new Muppets that feel like Muppets. So the fact that Clifford is the one that can bridge that gap is interesting.
Yeah. You kind of have to have flocked skin to fit in with those guys and look a little bit like nothing in particular, unlike the girl puppet that's in Jim Henson Hour, whose name I can't remember. I would, but you know, he's not the most exciting Muppet ever. I feel bad for him that he doesn't get to be around anymore. I'm gonna give him. I'll give him an 8. How about that?
I think I'll give him a 7 for most of the reasons you said. I grew up watching a lot of Clifford on Muppets Tonight, and just assuming Clifford was kind of around for longer, I think, than...
Yeah. I think when I learned he wasn't in the Muppet Show, I was a little surprised.
Yeah. I definitely didn't know about Jim Henson Hour when I was a kid, so I wouldn't have known where he came from originally. But yeah, I think Clifford, it's an interesting one, sort of when they use Clifford and when they don't after Jim dies, because obviously using him as the host of Muppets Tonight relieves some of that pressure on the Kermit character as a host. But it also, they didn't necessarily decide Clifford's the new face of the Muppets.
Right. So, that's true. Because Kermit was in that show kind of still existing as like the president of Muppets,
right.
basically.
He makes Clifford the host instead of himself. So yeah, I'll say a 7 out of 10. All right, Sam, well, before we get out of here, I got to ask, what non-Muppet thing did you watch this week?
Maybe I'll save you some time for a long episode and say, I honestly can't think of anything that I don't know what I was doing all this week, but I think I was editing this podcast and working late a bunch of nights. So
yeah,
nothing stands out.
Kind of been in the same boat of, had a lot of work going on, had a sick kid this week. So there's been a lot of not watching stuff, but I caught up on Only Murders in the Building.
We started watching that a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I'm not completely caught up, but I hadn't watched the 4th season at all. So I watched the 4th season and now I'm watching the 5th season.
Oh, I kind of liked, that was I kind of liked the last season. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, this show still, I feel like, is always like 1 or 2 episodes too long every season.
Yeah, I don't know why I or anyone watches it, but I also don't dislike it. So
yes, precisely. It's been very interesting. Devin has not watched any of it until I've started watching the more recent seasons, and she's just sort of seen a few moments and scenes that I've been watching, and she's like, wait, this show is good. Like, this is funny. Like, why do you complain about this show? And I explained to her, I was like, well, because if you watch every episode, there's a lot of very frustrating moments where these characters make very stupid decisions. Very, they choose when to be dumb and when not to be dumb, when to call the cops, when to not call the cops, when to carry a dead body across the city, or when to call the cops immediately and say, hey, we found a dead body. And it just kind of, there's never a reason really given for why they make bad decisions. They just do.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not funny. It's just really cringy to me. But
yeah,
it also, Martin Short is very funny. I think he's always funny no matter what. So I do often watch it for him because I just like him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez are all amazing in it.
Yeah.
It just sometimes as a show is frustrating.
And it's also fun, honestly. This is stupid to see the super famous people who will pop up and be like, what the hell? I won't spoil it.
Cameos are always fun.
Yeah. There's like a pretty big one in this season. I was like, whoa. What are these people do? Like, why do they do this? I guess because Martin Short and Steve Martin are producing it.
They want to try and win their Emmy.
Yeah.
Well, we got to let you know what we're watching next time. And next time, it's more Jim Henson Hour as we continue with episode 3 called Power. And we'll be joined by a special guest, the founder of toughpigs.com and co-creator of Muppet Wiki, Danny Horn.
Yeah. And you know what? We already recorded this one. You're going to learn so much from Danny Horn. It's such a great conversation. Yeah,
the majority of that conversation is talking with Danny Horn and getting to know him. And for those that don't know much about Danny Horn already, you're going to learn a lot. And I think you're going to like him. And just hearing about the Muppet fandom in general and his life in it over the past 20 years is so interesting that, we had a really good time. Well, we gotta thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. And don't forget, you can also rate and review this podcast, including this newer 5-star review from Zigmorphix that I saw that says, there are way more Muppet things that I knew about. Thanks to Matt and Sam for watching the terrible ones, so I don't have to.
I
have now seen the complete Muppet Show, which I never would have sat down and watched without this great podcast as the impetus. Good job, guys.
Thank you. That was nice. Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so via review or email us at mail@commitment.com. You can follow us on social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky. And you can always follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.